I'm just testing, don't fret. It's gonna be deleted. Wow, this is amazing. I'm just testing, by the way, if you haven't heard. This is amazing. This is a shitty 720p camera, and the NVIDIA upscaler is making it look really good. I just wanna. There you are again, tricky word. What the hell's? Are you sitting there? Where do you work? Do you work for Scott Percent? You're not doing anything, are you? You're Scott Percent's PA. You're doing your nails. Hola, confederate. Yeah, I'm just testing because I love just click live and just go. No OBS, no effing around, because it didn't have any sound before on the video, and I want to just try and mess with it. Hey, 100th monkey. So just tell me, could you just write that, because I turned on the NVIDIA sound voice isolation and things. How does that sound? You're in Mali? Oh, you're in Mali, boss. You're digging holes in the ground in Mali. So it does sound all right. Do you notice any higher quality in the sound? Because this is a $20, not even 20, I think it's 15 US dollars, this headset. I didn't bring my Rode mics. I couldn't fit it at all in my bag. It's still all sitting back at the old place. I've just told the landlord, just sell it, whatever. I can't take anything with me. Thomas from Melbourne. Marley, watch out for pirates. Yeah, mate, digging, sound okay. Okay, so this is a cheap laptop. It's a 4050, so it's the lowest end laptop you can get with a GPU. I did have a high-end GPU, but you remember what I did with that with the hammer? Oh, well. Okay, low rider. I'll feed you the organic stuff. I'm just testing. What you can help me with is I really love no OBS, no setting up, just I can stick the thing up here higher so you can't see my double chin. Man, I cannot believe the quality of that camera. This is a shitty 720p camera, but I think the NVIDIA upscales the video to 1080p. Looks pretty good. Man, it's not as good as usual quality. Okay. We can see your chins. Yeah, getting old. No, I got a lot fatter. I was eating. When I get stressed, I eat. I should get Ken O'Keefe over. He knows how to lose weight. But it's just fun to have a chat. It's fun because I have so many things going through my head and I never do them. And it might be fun to just keep doing live streams. Oh, you're very kind, boss. For what you want this for, it's good enough. Okay, I'm just wondering if it's different because before I didn't have the voice isolation on and the room echo. So I was just curious if it was any better. All right, I want to just test sharing the screen and just let me know about sound quality and whether you can actually hear the video, because when I did that Scott Percent, okay, no echo, that's good. What's MEF? Tricky word. Mate, look, this is amazing technology. I like that about myself. There's things we love and hate about ourselves, but I never cease to amaze me. I appreciate technology that we're just chatting here across the world. It's incredible. Okay, let's try screen sharing. Now I've got to get Nick Fuentes off Grindr first. Let's get a video up. Might as well be Chris Paulino, I guess. See, I'm looking over my tabs now, but you just see me talking, I presume. Microsoft account. Oh, yeah. Yeah, the making you get a Microsoft account. That's great. So Asaf Rappaport and Amit Yaron can F us more. Wealthy members of Congress are the next Doge. Let's have a look. Yeah, I'm definitely going to do way more of these live streams. Definitely. I just love just come and flick it all on and go. Yeah, Fresh Toast, we can, hi, you can ask questions. Yeah, well, look, I'll leave this up and we'll just F around and we'll have a chat. I'm writing up the background for this new video and trying to save some money because I have to fill my bank account again. I should have 20 and trying to save some money because I have to fill my bank account again. I should have $20,000 in the bank the last 2 years if I hadn't smashed a 7950X system. Look, I know it sounds extreme, but I was losing my mind. They were breaking in, they were cutting, it was constant. They were coming into my house. They were unlocking the door. The landlord had electronic Amazon lock. They were unlocking the lock and changing the password. It's all online through her phone. They hacked her phone. They were hacking Payola. It went on. And then you think, why did you smash that 7950 16-core expensive system with the 7900 XT? I know, because I'm losing my mind. That's why you think I hold fucking Whitney Webb in contempt. All of them, James Corbett, these fucking liars. They never have these problems. You don't know the half. I keep saying it because I just don't want to think about it. I don't want to talk about it. You know, the end for me was Mike Gill. That's when my health just completely collapsed again. And I thought, never again, never again. David Irving is really dead. Any words for him? It's a mixed bag. I do appreciate his work, but he was a funny guy. He was a strange guy. Look, a lot of them were desperate for money. His career was kind of ruined, but he had a very expensive house and investment properties. The revisionist movement I knew very well. I hung out with Frederick Tobin quite a bit. Richard Krieg, who did the ground penetrating analysis of Treblinka, they told me things. Good old Peter Hartong, piece of shit. But man, you know, I may not dislike someone, but I can. Peter Hartong is incredible. He's a craftsman. You've got to see the shit he makes. That guy is amazing. He makes furniture. He makes models, like intricate models of stuff. Strange guy though. He thinks I'm strange, but I think he worships Hitler. Literally, he's a vegetarian because Hitler was a vegetarian. Tobin, they worship Hitler. The only one I really liked was Richard Krieg, who did the ground penetrating radar analysis. He had a sense of humor. We were cracking Hitler jokes, and Tobin burst out of the kitchen. Damn you! Whoops! We have insulted the Messiah. But you understand that Tobin was after money. The revisionist movement are just all after money. Tobin made a fortune. They were all jealous of Ernst Sundal because Ernst Sundal had $6 million, according to Tobin. Yeah, 6 million, I know, magic number. And Tobin lost a lot of credibility when Zundel went to jail. He went over there and cracked on to Zundel's wife. And a lot of people were put off by Tobin. Tobin was mixing it with ASIO. He was often visited by ASIO. He said, oh, they often visit me when he was fishing. I know when someone's fishing. He said, ASIO often visit me, Brendon. And understand, I love Tobin. You could sit with Tobin and talk all day. His voice, his experiences, you couldn't help but listen to him. Incredibly intelligent, articulate. He had a twin brother. And Tobin, and I liked him personally. I never heard him ever insult Jews. He never said, oh, those filthy Jews. Never. He was always deeply respectful. But Tobin had a lot of Jewish friends, I might add. The most interesting was Peter, not Hufschmidt, what was his name? Peter, I've forgotten his name. He was East German Stasi, Warsaw Pact counterintelligence. That's Wolf. What's his name? Wolf, Stasi guy. Well, he then went to Israel and served in the Israeli Defense Force counterintelligence. That was Frederick Tobin's best buddy, Peter Hartong's best buddy. What was his name? Peter. He's quite a nice guy. I enjoyed chatting to him. I didn't get a bad vibe off him. But it's always interesting that so many of these Germans are all hanging around Jews. I don't know. But that was in Adelaide, which is the Barossa Valley. A lot of Germans settled there. But they effed me. Strange things happened in that house. I collapsed in that house. Now, admittedly, it could just mean I was dehydrated after the plane flight, and I got a thrombosis. I'm a former registered nurse. I got up to go to the toilet. I was sleeping on the floor, and only Richard was there. Peter Hartong or good old Frederick wasn't there. He was coming. And I went to go to the toilet, and I got this cramp in my calf, and suddenly my head was just boom, 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 boom. And I started to nearly vomit. I thought, shit, I'm an RN. I worked in this. I'm having a thrombosis, having a fucking stroke. Got a thrombosis. And I just managed to get to the toilet. I was just holding back throwing up. And the last thing I remember, I woke up outside the toilet. My last memory is the toilet bowl. I woke up flat on my back with my arms exactly by my side, like I'd been carefully laid on my back outside the toilet. And I woke up, like, where the fuck am I? What's going on? And at the time, I thought, there's no point going to the hospital. I've survived. It's cleared. The clot's cleared out of my brain. I mean, they can give you other stuff, but I thought, well, what's the point? I'll just spend hours, days in the emergency department. I know how it works. I've worked a while in emergency. And Yeah, that was one of the weird shit that went on, like I'd been laid out flat. Anyway, after that, my sister suddenly dropped dead of a stroke. I just got back from Tobin's and my sister dropped dead. That's why I say I haven't told her half of it. It's like, it's just overwhelming. But Tobin, they're all after money. He tried to get me in the shit twice. They tried to associate me with Jack Van Tongeren, who's the dumb ass, half Indonesian, half Dutch asshole who started the legislation, the racial vilification legislation. He burnt down 13 Chinese restaurants. Well, he claimed he only burnt down 9. Anyway, he did his 13 years in jail. That he started the legislation. They said, come over, Brendon, come to Adelaide. I said, yeah, I'll go for a trip to Adelaide, have a chat, because I was trying to get Tobin to do, so we'll get as much publicity as possible with the trial, and they weren't interested. They would not come over for the trial. They wouldn't do anything. But they got me to come to Adelaide, and he picks me up at the airport, Peter Hartong, and he says, oh, Jack's here. We'll go and interview him. And I went, Jack who? He goes, Jack Van Tongeren, because he stays at their house. I didn't know this. He's West Australian, but he lives now next to those guys. And I said, whoa, 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 whoa. I said, Jack Tongeren is the reason for the legislation I'm charged under. He's a hardcore, not just white nationalist, out and out racist. And he claimed, well, maybe I had PTSD from the Vietnam War. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. The guy's half Asian anyway. But anyway, I mean, yeah, we'll start the revolution by burning down Chinese restaurants. That makes perfect sense. And I'm just going, what are you doing, Peter? I'm about to go to trial, and you are associating me with Jack Van Tongeren, and he goes, oh, yeah, sorry about that. That's Frederick Tobin and Peter Hartong. They did it twice. And when I was in jail in Albany after being badly beaten and my arm broken, I was in Albany maximum security, which is a nice maximum security. In fact, if you're maximum security rated, it's a privilege to go to Albany, where they also mix it in with minimum. That all changed after me. So while I'm in jail, he sends me a letter. Hi, Brendon, here's a copy of our, they did their monthly print. They print out and mailed out their monthly article. And they feature me. Here I am with such and such. I am pushing SS Gruppenführer. This guy is a gentleman. He's wonderful. And Brendon, you're so wonderful. And he keeps putting me in it. A prison officer came and said, Brendon, you need to see this. We were going to hold this in security, but you need to read it. You can have it. I told security to give it to you. And I went, you effing. He said, yeah, that guy's setting you up. You effing son of a bitch. Tobin did it again. So Tobin can rot in fucking hell. Tobin was greedy and he was always after money. You understand, there were so many rich Germans around the world, and a lot in Adelaide, South Australia, the Barossa Valley, who wanted to see the honour of Germany restored. Now, you can definitely restore some honour, Germany, not all, but a lot. And Tobin was trying to pick up the cash. They were all fighting over money, and Zundel got the biggest wad of cash. You know that in 2017, we were going to the High Court, and I thought, F them, they raised the Holocaust. Let's get the Holocaust in the High Court. So I said to Germa Rudolph, who should be a doctor, PhD, Germa Rudolph, I will answer your questions. I love doing these now. I guess because it's so simple. I haven't been crashed for a while yet, just when I'm writing articles, I note. Germa Rudolph got in contact through another person, and we said, doctor, he says, look, I'm not a doctor. The Max Planck Institute wouldn't let me finish my PhD. Now, he did the analysis of Fred Leuchter's analysis of the lack of cyanide in the so-called gas chambers at Auschwitz. And he said, yeah, I will write a statement of material fact or a sworn statement about the Holocaust that they raised. Because, yeah, let's use it. Let's really give it to them. They raised it. I never raised the Holocaust. They raised the Holocaust at trial. And Stanley Keiser raised it in the video. And suddenly, 5 Bitcoin turned up in my account. Back then, that was about $22,000 back then, over what, $400,000 now, US. So it was 5 Bitcoin, and that paid for the lawyer. So I changed some of it to pay the 10 grand to start the lawyer. That was Richard Foley, who's standing for Parliament in Wagga Wagga. Good guy, old trade union movement, small business owner, good guy, sensible. Old CFMEU, knows all the people. And Richard's old man had worked in the High Court in England, and he was a solicitor, and he got Tony Martin, who's a QC. So Tony Martin QC was going to do the High Court appeal. We were going to get it all raised. Okay, pay the money. Tony Martin QC does nothing, not a fucking thing. Took my money, and I was by then in New Zealand, in a prison in New Zealand. With all the trannies, full of trannies. It was funny. I haven't even told you about New Zealand. You know, there's so much. I've got to, I'll write it in a book. So anyway, so that was Germa Rudolph. What happened next? 2 weeks later, Ern Zundel is dead. He's dead. 2 weeks after that, his wife is dead. So, I mean, you draw your own conclusions. Germa Rudolph said, I'm sorry, I can't contact you anymore. Good guy, Germa Rudolph. So, in fact, when you meet these people, revisionist movement, you never hear them. They're not crass, they're not rude. They don't say we hate the Jews. It's always about Germany and the honor of Germany and the truth about the Second World War. Okay. Regardless, that's in relation to David Irving. Irving is okay, but it was a few very sus things. I sent him money back in 2005. I accidentally did two payments. And he said, look, I'll send you the money back. And I said, look, no, keep the bastards on it. It's fine. And he sent me a personal letter, and he seemed like a nice person, but like so many, there was a lot of money to be had from these German estates, and they were being left in wills. So when these Germans were dying, they were being left in the wills, and there's this huge competition from this revisionist movement for the money. I noticed Michael Hoffman doesn't get a lot of it. He's still poor as a church mouse. Beethoven was not well liked at all by anyone. And it was just a bunch of whores in the end trying to get cash. Anyway, that's my view on Tobin. David Irving, 50-50. I appreciate his work. He's done a lot of good work. And I presume, like so many, he will get the truth and lies of the Second World War will come up. And I think Germany is owed a small apology at least. But at the moment, they're at war with America, so it won't be happening too soon. Let's go down. So what do you think about nuking Iran? A low rider, please. They're all doing a deal. Iran's got to keep playing the enemy. You've got to understand, the nuclear weapons in Iran were given to them by Israel. Okay, Israel gives the nuclear stuff to Iran. Iran is run by Israel and Germany and France and the political Zionist movement and the Hilfjud and the banking class of the EU. And the nuke is about threatening the Arab world. So the Arab world does a deal with Israel. Fact. You only heard it here from me. It's a fact. Okay? It's all bullshit. So Trump's going to go in after Iran has already rung Trump and begged him not to hurt them. Remember before on Fox News? Please don't attack us. We're just going to fire some missiles and they'll miss. So let's stop the bullshit. A deal will be done, but Iran has to be kept in check. They're probably arranging the target list. They may use some small tactical nukes because, Lockheed will have a weapon they want tested. They may have used small tactical nukes in Afghanistan. But anyway, some new testing of weapons may take place in Iran, but it'll all be arranged. And then defiantly, the Ayatollah stands up and goes, "We've got to continue the fight," because they still need Iran until they arrange something new. It will probably return to a monarchy, from a theocracy to a monarchy at some stage, because the Ayatollahs hate it. I'm telling you, I never met a single Iranian who wanted the Ayatollah. They all wanted the Shah back. It's not about freedom. It's about the economy. If the economy was better, they wouldn't give a shit. It's about security and money, basically. Any words for David Irving? Yes, well, nice work, but did David Irving ever talk about Israel and ITAC? I mean, these people are all sworn, to bring Israel to heel, but did any of them raise it? What about Frederick Tobin? Haven't you ever noticed these people with all their publicity and all their vast networks? They never come and tell you the truth. Never. Haven't you not noticed? Like the pro-Palestinian activists. Man, we were deep involved with the pro-Palestinian activists. They never raised it once because all their leadership are Jews. Israel Hassan, Syrian Jew born in Damascus. They recruit through the Shin Bet. They're all fucking Jews. Please stop. Or rats for money. That's like Chris Bolin says, when you find all these, PTEC is supposedly a Lebanese Muslim, and they had a Quran out the front and all this stuff, very showy. And the whole time it's all being run by hardcore Zionist Israeli First Jews out of Florida when they were blowing up the World Trade Centers. All right, it's all fake. The whole pro-Palestinian Islamic terror network is all an Israeli Jewish run operation. Please stop. I like to hang out live streams. Yeah, actually a lot of fun when they're really simple to set up and like this, and I don't have to get my microphone out and then start to have a panic attack. Is it going to explode? This is good. Anyway, good luck to David Irving. I thank him for his work. Good to work with you, Brendon. Stay strong. Thank you, Jerry. For week, my stupid real me turns Wi-Fi on aeroplane. Who's David Irving? He's a World War II author, been around a long time, spoke fluent German and went directly. They hate him because he goes and gets sources because he speaks, reads and writes Germans. And he was trusted by a lot of the officers, their wives, their surviving wives and families. They gave him a lot of great stuff. He lost his house here. He had a very expensive house in the expensive part of London. Nice to see you, bro. Prince Lear, how you got to come to the UK? Would love to come to the UK. I always think of the goodies when I think of the UK. Land of hope and glory. When we were kids, we would sing God Save the Queen once a week at the school rectangle and raise the Australian flag and the British flag. Yeah, would love to come to the home of the Magna Carta and parliamentary democracy, of course. Love to go to Europe. I mean, I seem to talk bad about UK, City of London, but this was home of incredible culture and incredible science. You know, I don't want to see them go down, but as long as you are ruled by a parasitic elite of hoof-hewn pieces of shit, most of whom who don't have forelops or wear kapurs, who will slaughter their own people, allegedly their own people, I don't know what to say. I mean, it's going to have to come down one way or the other. Pedophile tings, yeah, the old pedophile rings have been with us forever, and they're all run by Israel. They're hammering out the Belt and Road right through that area, and nobody's stopping it. No, they've got a new one they're going to do. But yeah, look, the development's going to take place. It'll just be under US supervision. But they're still fighting, hardcore fighting. The Crown corporate's panicking. So it's not over yet. We'll see how it all hammers out. And Trump's still surrounded by the same scum. Look, I realize detectives, when they take over a criminal network, they usually just leave the same people there to manage the criminal network for them. But you know, you got to cut to a point where these heads have got to roll. I just did an article on it on my Patreon. Yeah, both. Up my G. Shah and Fires are the only triple OGs in the Middle East. Basically, I mean, they did badmouth Shah a lot. Well, he wasn't perfect, but he did say, "Look, I didn't realize the torture was going on." And I do believe him when he said that he didn't realize how bad it was. But you know, they had a lovely time with the Ayatollah, particularly the 16-year-old sent to run through and clear the minefields. That was lovely. Look, I love the Iranian people, but there is some definite hatred of Arabs. I picked up on it a lot. There is a sense of superiority. It is the home of the Aryans. The Indo-European language is actually Farsi-based. It's Farsi. That's why Farsi is very easy to learn because it's word for word, whereas Spanish, which I thought would be easy, is really hard. Like, because the word, it's completely different structure. And like, you know, I am or I is like estoy, yo soy, yo. I mean, there's like 3, 4 different ways to say the same thing, all in a context. It's like, geez, it's doing my head in. But Farsi is easy. It's word for word. English replacement, almost word for word. And the Persians were praised by Himmler and Hitler as the home of the Aryans. So they've got a bit of that's why they worship Hitler. There's a little bit of an arrogance problem there, but I have to say I love my time there. I love the Mr. Passport. I love the people I met. I love the old traditional. Same with the Arabs. You got your traditional societies. You sit down, everyone's eating, talking. You know, which for me is just I just love it. Loved every minute there, and it was sad to leave. But the weirdo lawyer, who's clearly some sort of Georgia Atlanta rip-off lawyer gangster out of Atlanta, Georgia, closet homosexual. I mean, he's clearly a closet homosexual. He had a stunning woman he was going to marry there. She's 25. He was 54 back then. She was stunning. Absolutely. He barely looked at her, barely acknowledged her, but he spent a lot of time stroking my back. And I just went, because my best mate's gay, and I don't know, maybe they're getting some reports that Brendon's homosexual or something. I just think you need to get, I may be weird, but that's not it. You can send in a hot librarian looking Mossad agent. I really love smart women with the librarian look. Just to let you know, I'm still waiting. Maybe one day. My friend's very disappointed. He's Serbian, the Dobar. And I said, look, when you're running around Bali and holding your serve nights and all the rest, I said, you know, just because you might get approached by some Mossad agents. He said, really? Like those really hot Mossad chicks, like in the Israeli Defense Force photos? He goes, awesome. And he called him a while back and he said, well, I'm really pissed off. Where are these hot Mossad assassin chicks? I'm still waiting. Anyway, lucky I've got some great friends. Peter Zine's analysis about China collapse in 2034. Peter Zine, great big picture, but tactical is a joke. He gets so much wrong. But big picture, get his books. I listen to all his audio books. It's really good. It'll give you a good idea. Wish I discovered him earlier. Professor Hamamoto, no, I am not. Don't know who that's. ChatGPT. I actually haven't done a lot with it. I might buy a $200 US account for OpenAI and try it out and see about rewriting. I want to write my book, so I'm thinking of feeding in my UN document to see if I can write a novel just for fun. I do want to try it out. I do want to utilize it where I can instead of being afraid of the tech, because I need to know about it and talk about it. Views on the Holocaust are it's the biggest crock of shit ever. It's a political weapon. That's all. But Jews were rounded up. There were mass slaughters of Jews, at least 5 Babi Yars. Babi Yar was we had a river and a valley. They slaughtered 30,000 Jewish men, women, and children. There were 5 of those. Babies, girls. The Einsatzgruppen, SS Totenkopf were absolute animals. The Gulatiers, the mayors they put in were slaughtering. Why do you think the Russians ran back to the Stalin? When they greeted the Germans as liberators, so initially with the crosses on the tanks. And I know a lot. I was going to be a Russian Orthodox monastic. I know a lot about the ROCOR, Russian Orthodox Church outside Russia. Father Alexis Rosenthal, the abbot of Jerusalem, he was at the monastery. They allowed me to stay into Great Lent, which is unheard of. I was accepted as a guest, which then if you stay, you can go through as a brother and start your training for 3 years as a monastic. But I never went back. I said the problem I have, I spoke to Father Serge, who's now the abbot there. I said, look, I need to be political. I need to be in the world. And he was very positive. You can be a monastic in the world then. And so here I sit, a monastic in the world. They all know the truth. In fact, Father Serge said, they lie about so much. I'm sure they've lied about that too. They've got Jewish friends. Half of them are Jews, raised Jewish, who've left. Father Alexis Rosenthal was raised Jewish. He said, Brendon, he's really big. He's about 6'4". He's huge hands. He's also an artist. He does a lot of icon painting. He's got a very long beard, very deep voice. And he said, Brendon, being Jewish is an attitude. You can drop the attitude anytime you like. I believe it's a bit more than that. I think, I like Passover Seder, which is about not coming under the state or the corporate entity, being free, living under God. But I think the way that's being interpreted is another COVID, the virus bypassing. And we're dealing with psychopaths regardless, and safety of the community is paramount, not Jewish feelings. But yeah, the Holocaust is a load of shit. It's quite clear. You need to understand that I believe the Germans under National Socialism from 1933 on was perfectly capable of an industrial scale gas slaughter. I believe they were perfectly capable. It's very German. I don't mean that as an insult. I love the Germans. Their attention to detail, their incredible minds, their ability to think outside the box. I love the old stories of the World War II where General Heinz Guderian, the great tank commander, said, just build me a copy of the T-34, please. And the German engineers, oh my God, look at this weld. And they were, no, we have to make it German. And Guderian's pulling his hair out. For God's sake, don't be so German. Just build me a copy. And of course, the Panther tank was arguably, apart from the mechanical problems due to all the problems with Allied air bombing and stuff, and the lack of fuel, the finest tank of the Second World War. I mean, it had gyro-stabilized main gun, it had infrared night sights. It was 10 years before anything was equivalent in the West. That's how far ahead they were in the technology stage, which is why you see so much stuff about anti-gravitics and things in Germany and the Foo Fighters, which are quite possible. They were onto something crazy back then. Read The Hunt for Zero Point by Nick Cook. There are probably about 1.2 million Jews died in the Second World War, mostly on the Eastern Front, with mostly by vast execution parties. I do believe the Germans were perfectly capable because there's many recordings of Himmler complaining and letters and official documents that they were having trouble. A lot of Ukrainians were on the death squads too, Bulgarians, Czechoslovakians, so on from the Eastern Bloc, that they were having a lot of trouble with the mass executions in the East because the men were losing their minds, shooting each other, getting depressed, committing suicide. And they needed to find a more efficient way to do the mass executions. So that's not in dispute. However, the evidence put up for the mass executions just doesn't exist. It's horseshit. They've shown the truth behind the gates of Auschwitz. You'll be pleased to know that Detective Payani and Detective Gavin Manners of the State Security Investigation Group, State Counterterrorism, Manners, Detective Manners was attached to the Australian Federal Police, I might add. He specialised in race hate vilification. They had to watch all my videos. And they said to me, oh, you believe there was no Holocaust, don't you? I said, no, I just not that. I just don't believe you should lock people up for questioning history. And they went, oh, yeah. I said, well, watch my videos. Well, they had to watch every video, and they watched every single revisionist video. And when I met them again, when they told me, look, we want to talk to you about what you write about, I said, oh, what do you think about that Holocaust stuff? And Manners, was it Manners who was with another detective? I can't remember. Payne, he turned to the other guy, and they looked at each other like this, and they just went, like, they weren't so smart after that, were they? See how I penetrated it like I was a virus. I got inside the body politic of the state counterterrorism. They all hate the Jewish community now, not because they hate Jews, because they're just so fucking disgusting. They lied through their teeth. They lied so much to the police, it was disgusting. And the police just went, one of them told me, fuck them. So I don't want to talk to them. I said, I want out of this. So what I mean, so if you're watching from the Perth Jewish community, do you realize that you are in deep trouble, right? Your lies, man. No one believes a word you say anymore. So you think Stanley Elliott Keyser at his little 9/11 Israeli intelligence screen printing. They're all doing these screen printing. Watch Christopher Berlin. They've got all, for some reason, they love screen printing, T-shirt printing things. That's what Keyser's doing. It's where all their intelligence people are. I hope you're happy. How's it feel? Do you remember when you were gloating when I went to jail for 3 years? Are you gloating now? Yeah, I don't think you get it. But regardless, it's now a political weapon. It's not a weapon that can be used to teach people about how you come to power, and then you do the strong man, you destroy the economy, you do the strong man, and then you start going after people. No bankers died in that. Did any Jewish bankers die in the camps? Get it. Come on, get it into your thick skulls. It's staring you in the face. He arrested a Rothschild. I've heard that one 5 million times. Can you name me which Rothschild and where? And he arrested one. Did he drink cognac while he waited in his camp? No, he didn't. None of them died because it was the Hofjuden via their man on the spot, who was Hitler's handler, which was Hermann Goering. All right, were cleaning up and setting up the Israeli state. Work it out. So it's meaningless now. There's nothing to be learnt from it, because now people are either Hitler was Satan and the devil incarnate, or Hitler was a saint. Now we see Hitler was a saint, instead of sitting down and having an objective look at World War II history and what can be learnt from it, including you shouldn't area bomb whole German cities and kill pregnant men, women, and children, should you? Probably pregnant women. We could learn a lot, couldn't we? The German people have suffered enough. They had nothing to be sorry about for the Second World War. Why did they send you to a New Zealand prison? No, I wasn't in Australia. I was in Malaysia. I come back from Iran and realised this is all bullshit. And a friend, a good guy, he gave me the number for the Crown Solicitor's Office, the second in charge. I had a private number. He had a lot of contacts in the New Zealand government, and Jacinda Ardern hated Israel at that stage. She's just a piece of shit, as I found out. And when I got there, he said, just arrive there and declare you're applying for asylum. And I got there, and they said, look, we've got to lock you up. They locked me up in a maximum security prison, Mount Eden, where the mosque killer is, where they get regularly beaten up, their backs are broken. You would not believe what goes on. They don't release you into the community. No. You get thrown in a maximum security prison. That's what New Zealand did. And New Zealand was always criticizing Australia. When you live in a beautiful island, go fishing, you have your own mobile phones, but apparently New Zealand had the audacity to go after Australia. And yeah, then the New Zealand intelligence ripped my index, kept paperwork from my lawyer, and eventually I negotiated. The Malaysians took me back, and I got back to Malaysia, and they gave me a hug at the airport. Royal Malaysian Police, which is like the FBI, hugged me at the airport and said, "You're always welcome in Malaysia, Mr. O'Connell." What do you think about Peter Zahn? Oh, he's fucking hopeless. So one of my patrons cornered him at the airport. He said, "Oh, send me a message." He said, "What do you think about Israel and critical infrastructure in the US?" He said, "Send me an email." Yeah, I'll do it. Take the boy out of Stratfor, but you can't take the Stratfor out of the boy. Thoughts on aliens? They may exist, they may not. Who gives a shit? What they cross intergalactic space to turn their lights on? Think about it. What we're seeing now is total bullshit. Unit 742 was Japan's Holocaust that they did on the Chinese. Yeah, and they did a lot, and they also released bacteria and other things. They're pretty horrendous. Yeah, the Chinese haven't forgotten. Reed Crowley, 777 and Magic Talmud and erect temples from the east coast of Australia. G'day, Ben. What book? Which one? Simple wiki search will do it. Fairy tales. Will do. Okay, there's the questions answered. Israel organ harvesting. Well, why wouldn't they? They hold everyone as an animal, so of course they would. Look, they're nuts. You got to understand the ultra orthodox and so on, the demonic. They're they're inbred heavily. Literally, I'm not saying that to be nasty. They're literally heavily inbred. And the mental illness, and you're raised on hate. I mean, what do you expect? They're fucking nuts. Their view is we're animals, so we can be killed, culled, we can be fed drugs, they can do whatever they like. I mean, it's right there, but beware, because you will see a backlash. We got to get the ones in suits. We need the commies in suits to go down. And all I see are all the suits hanging around Donald Trump. So they're deporting all the brown-skinned people, and Americans are cheering. But America, yeah, fine, apply your law, but this is a circus show. It's all for show. Meanwhile, the people that robbed you blind of $5 trillion are just sitting there pretty, still collecting their bonuses. I'm sorry, no one else sees this? It's fucking ridiculous, disgusting. David Duke, he's been an FBI rat since forever. Same with Tobin, they all work for US. All of them. Very smart, very articulate. I admire his work, but that's his job. His job is to be smart and articulate and get in a high quality white male and a high quality young male like a Matthew North, reel them in, and then just sow them all with look, you need to just add 2 + 2 and keep 4. Why do you think Fred Smith's got me hanging with Joseph Davies? All right, that's Fred Smith's Skull and Bones. And all he did is try to introduce me to Adam Green and the whole white nationalist movement. That's all they did all day. Greg McCarran and Jeremy Rothschild, whose uncle is a high-level Disney executive. That's all they did all day. Does that not strike you as strange? Well, it's not strange. That's the way they try to collapse you into the white nationalist movement, which is totally FBI ADL control. And I'm there in Malaysia talking to my brown-skinned friends, applying for a UN asylum. You see what they were trying to do? Fucking hate them. David Duke is there to make it more attractive. They want you to come in. He's PhD because he works for the damn police. He's always worked for him his whole freaking life. They're all rats. All right. Has David Duke ever mentioned anything that we talk about? Has he? You can't see it, can you? It's right in front of your eyes. Right in front of your eyes. Has he ever talked about US critical info? Has he said Amit Yoran? Has he told Americans that every single database, every single policing, everything, the electrical grid, all the stuff we feed you, he doesn't know. He knows. Ryan Dawson watches all my stuff. He knows they're all rats. Dawson's a rat. McGregor's a rat. Scott Ritter's a pedophile rat. They all work for the fucking authorities. No one is real. You're real because they love me, but they're saying, Brendon, later, could you just quieten it down? Don't say too much. Just talk about critical infrastructure. We'll bring you out because we like your Australian accent and you're not ugly and we can use you. And I'm like, fuck you. Pay me off. Look, I'll take the money and run, but I'm not lying for you. So they said, well, fine, you can sit there in isolation and we'll marginalize you and use our IIA operation, to just, they don't have to kill anyone. They just marginalize you online and feed you money through their burner credit card. So fine, keep doing it. So I just have to sit here and accept, what I'm going to do, because at the moment I don't want to stay in Mexico. I've got to work out what I'm doing. I'm looking at Ukraine, Poland. If you know anyone in Poland, Ukraine contacts, I would definitely want to go to Ukraine. God willing, Zelensky will be got rid of and General Zaluzny will come back. Zelensky's approval ratings are like 16 to 25%. Zaluzny's at 60 to 68%. They want rid of Zelensky. Ukrainians are not happy. And I would love to go to Ukraine or Poland around there. So if you've got any contacts, email me. Yeah, and I can start reporting and mixing with people. See, they like me here. Mexicans don't give a shit about this issue. They just want to be fed and don't want their heads cut off when they call that corruption. They're not interested. And I don't speak their language. They're not my people. I really sense that. They hate Americans. They don't like whites. Not all, of course. I met some great Mexicans, but there's generally a very collective racism in this country because the Europeans are over here stirring it up. They love the French for some reason. I presume because you've got a lot of Europeans over here stirring up trouble against the United States. Meanwhile, I've had discussions with very wealthy or well-off Mexicans, and they know all about Jews, and many of them have Jewish last names, Portuguese, Spanish Jews, devout Catholics, and all they do is go on about America. And when I say, about the Jews of, Hufjuden, You know about Rothschild, they know all about Rothschild, they know all about City of London. I said, who do you think runs America via the Council on Foreign Relations Trilateral Commission? Rockefeller. But you love the people that are using America to batter you over the head. They still hate America. They're ideologues, they're communists. Many of them trained in Cuba. They went to Cuba in '91. As they told me, and they're not bad people. I like many of them, but they're hating America is their national sport, literally their national sport. And Trump said something very sinister. He said, if you don't like us, we're just going to bypass you. That's the data analytics. And I tried to tell Mexicans, you better tell your friends that the data analytics are showing stuff, and they're gonna bypass, go to Colombia and Venezuela. They still do it. So it's like, oh well. So I just want to get the hell out of here before things go south. We'll see ultimately what happens. But yeah, if you got in contacts in Poland, I'd like Poland. They hate everybody after what they went through in the Second World War. And somewhere where I can operate and actually organize and talk with people, even if I'm English language, and do some job. I'd like to go to Ukraine. If they kill me over there, they can kill me. I don't care. But I'm tired of being isolated in a country that doesn't give a shit. I can go down to the beach down here and buy some very nice fish and have some very delicious tacos, but I need to be political and I need to be around political people, and that's not Mexico. It's got no interest whatsoever. Oh, Ryan Dawson's just the biggest piece of shit on this planet. He will say anything. You got to understand, Dawson is the biggest psychopath narcissist on the planet. He always has been. Always. He came sucking up my ass because he realized how much he'd messed up when I started making those excellent videos. And said, oh, you freaked out at me and blah, blah, blah. And I said, sure, Ryan, contact me via email. He only talks to you. He's never emailed me, ever. He only talks on Facebook because he works for the feds. I've been told by people they don't want to use encryption apps like Proton Mail because they need to keep track of their assets and everything they say and all their conversations. Ryan Dawson is a rat fed along with McGregor and Ritter, the pedophile. All right, he's had his dick hanging out on channel. He's a drug addict. He's a piece of shit. I mean, I got screenshots where people said, why are you hanging around the white nationalist movement? And he said, I have $18,000 in hurricane damage. I need the exposure. It means he needs the money. The guy is a whore. He doesn't even hide it. But there he is because he's got the tape troll army behind him. These people are not popular. They have a troll army behind them. It's the same troll army Elon Musk uses. It's a network. Ari Emanuel. Hello, Hollywood super agent. You mean to say after all we've shown on the relationship between Netanyahu and Putin and Xi and the Belt and Road and Kissinger, they got nothing to say? Work it out. Walton's, Walmart? No, I don't. I mean, Tyler Bedford, you could just go on forever. I get it, and it's interesting, but I'm just surviving. I can't go down every rabbit hole. I'm just surviving. And to be honest, I just don't want to do this anymore. I do it because you send me money. Stop sending me money. I go do something else, or I jump on a plane back to Australia, and at Sydney Airport, we have a showdown. Like my friend Ali Amun did at Canberra Airport. I'll have a showdown, and I'll tell them I'll die. They know that. That's why they keep paying me. Talk's cheap. But that's my plan. If they try anything with me, I will go back to Australia and it will be on, and you will see me in the news. That's a promise. Talk's cheap. Trust me, I'll do it. You don't understand, dude. My word is, but they know I mean what I say. That's why they just keep paying me via Patreon. Oh, they've offered me a interview for a tourist visa, but it's in 8 months. It's in December. And it's like, fuck that. See, they won't even give me a denial. I just wanted a denial. So I can say, there you go, denied. I wanted to interview and give them all my stuff, all my paperwork, so I can say I've been to the States. But remember, when you go to an embassy interview for a visa, because I can't get one because I've been to Iran, and you hand them all those documents, I have now handed to the US State Department all these documents on their critical infrastructure penetration. Do you understand from a legal point of view how big that is? That's why they're just keeping me at arm's length. See, I can't even get a fucking interview, or it's 8 months away. And after I paid $250, finally completed the paperwork. The fucking computer was crashing. The phone calls, I had to ring them and the phone would cut out trying to get my appointment down. Finally, I can't get one for 8 months. Who do you think does the database for the appointments? Israel. They're in everything. So that's why I'm looking at Ukraine. So please get me to the Ukraine, but I want contacts. I've got to see how to get there safely. I wouldn't mind stopping in Italy, seeing Paola and other people there. See, I'll be mixing with people. They don't want that. They want me isolated in America, hating Mexico. That's where they want me. It says, them remains all have the signature of Syrian and Iraqi empires. Look, the Sassoons, they all came out of Syria and Iraq. All right. Moroccan Jews, brown skinned Jews, the Kadoories, the Rothschilds of the East. Tate is this NBA player, son and guy who won ring with Celtics. I don't know. You're talking about Adam Green's relative. I'd love to come back to Perth, Lewis, but they have to leave me alone and they won't because I got too much shit on them and they know I'm an organizer and I will actually get shit done on the street. They know that. We'll get fundraised, we'll have money, we'll have shit tons of money, we'll be putting up billboards. They know that. They know I'll do that. And the coppers will do anything to stop me. And, I told the coppers, you do it again, I'll kill you. I mean it. I told Pony, I'll fucking kill you if you ever come near me again. They fucking know I'll do it. And I'll say it right here on this live stream and I'll leave this up. You fuckers ever come near me again. You know what you did. They sent coppers around to apologize and suck my dick. Detective Adam Titman and Robinson, was it? Adam Titman, English guy, and another one, Justin Robinson, Detective Justin Robinson. And this is when I was publishing Roger's book. And they said, oh, can we come around, have a chat? And I said, no, you can't pick me up, but I'll come over to the central station. We had a chat. They had their cameras on. And he put his hands in the air like this. And he said, Brendon, I have no trouble apologizing to you. I have no trouble apologizing. That was their vain, pathetic efforts at an apology. I think it was sincere from Detective Joshua Robinson, and Adam Titman is an English bobby copper. But, it's like, dude, okay, I want money. I want my name cleared. I want to be back on the television with an apology, and we'll have meetings with the Jewish community. No. Because they'd all go to jail, all of them, for all the corruption and the break-ins and the rig court case. You can't even find my trial. They don't want anyone to find it. It's so bad. Speaks volumes to this. Yeah, I mean, the fact that the military let them come right up to our borders, the Mexico was told to let them come up. You just watch them. Of course, it was all arranged. And then when they were told to crack down, they crack down. Mexico does whatever the US says. They get the leader comes out, shakes the fist and say, we will not have our sovereignty. They do exactly what the US tells them. Remember, when I say these things, I'm in Mexico on a temporary 4-year visa. They could deport me anytime, but that's the truth, and I'm not going to lie. The truth, the military runs, the US military, the Department of Defense with the Mexico military runs things. Do you think because El Presidente, Claudia Sheinbaum, has a vagina, somehow she's going to clean up the corruption? She's cleaned up no corruption. She's just as corrupt. They're all corrupt, and so are the US. The US politicians are corrupt. The Australian politicians are corrupt. Let's not just make this a Mexico thing. They're all freaking corrupt. She's in open society with George Soros, the King of Spain, the Club of Rome, or all that. That's who's agitating against the US. And what El Presidente Sheinbaum needs to do, in between saying how much she loves the LGBT community while Mexican women are slaughtered on a regular routine basis, what she needs to do is have a reconciliation program and have the US and the United States and Mexico sit down and say, we are sorry for all that Kissinger did. We all know who he worked for. And we're sorry for the way we have treated Mexico, Central and South America. And it's not happening again. We are going to develop and we'll develop together as friends. That's what they need to do immediately. Chance of that happening? 0. Because the elites need the agitation against El Norte, against the gringo, because otherwise the people will turn on them who are robbing the people blind. They have all these things in Mexico where they steal all the petrol, all the petroleum products, and they get their friends to open petrol stations and they give them free petroleum, and that's how they launder a lot of money. And I know all the tricks. The mayor of Tequiscupan ripped them off for years. They got a new one. But instead of going after the other mayor who lives in a big compound, which I flew over and photographed with my drone, I got all the details on him. They stole around $7 million, him and his sister. The roads were a mess. The whole town was a mess. Everyone knows about it. But rather than go after him as he walks around the streets of Tequiscupan, they come after people like me and agitate against people like me, because that's easier than getting your head cut off by the local oligarch. That's Mexico. But you're no different, America. You're full of drug traffickers. All the major drug traffickers are in the United States and London and Moscow and France. So don't pick on Mexico for it, and don't pick on brown-skinned people who were told to come up by your white, blonde-haired, blue-eyed piece of shit, senile piece of garbage, pedophile Biden. By all means, apply the law, America. Apply the law, sure, apply the law. But you call them all up. Now, I don't think they're going to deport millions. They'll probably deport 100,000 of the worst, of the scummy of the scum. It'll give the Israeli software and facial recognition companies another contract, and they'll do a big show. But those 7 million slaves are needed for the manufacturing base. And, I mean, how low do you have to go? If I was an American, I'd say, well, fine, apply the law, but now I want the deportation of all these Israeli dual nationals, Israeli Russian dual nationals, and I want the arrest, deportation, and/or execution of your Wall Street bankers, your men in suits who have completely destroyed the economy and done these horrible, horrible things with the Council on Foreign Relations, Trilateral Commission, Atlantic Council, Carnegie, Rockefeller. Do you see the game? How they get us to kill each other so they can get Americans and Mexicans hating each other. You see the game? Canadians and Americans hating each other. That's the game. I don't see Trump arresting any Wall Street bankers for what they did, $5 trillion. The debt, we have to debt. So we'll get the village idiot Musk, who's just promised Trump billions of dollars when they re-engage with China from Tesla, to run around and do his little show. What's he say? $30 billion? Let's look for the other $400-500 billion. Start with the Pentagon. Oh, but all roads will lead to his friends in Israel. So you see, so Trump's got a big problem because the Trump towers aren't falling for it. They can't rehabilitate Musk no matter how hard they try. That's why in Fox News, they've literally got a Musk story every 5 minutes. And the Musk has discovered it's just not working. So sooner or later, they'll get rid of him. Word is that, Trump's probably going to have another assassination attempt. I dreamt he was shot, was literally shot, survived and retired. J.D. Vance and Rubio took over. Skull and Bones boys. So maybe that's not such a bad thing because Trump is just so surrounded by shit. It's getting to the point of stupidity, and he's just slapping people in the face with Doge and Elon Musk. Because Doge is not. I mean, you do realize that US aid is how they pay off all their informants around the world. It's how they pay off all their informants. So when they're donating to the tranny club in Guatemala, that's their informants. So in actual fact, the friend of Israel, Elon Musk, is destroying the entire informant base around the world, which I'm sure Israel and China and Russia are very happy about. Look, Musk has to go, put a bullet in his head. Oh, there, I said it. I can't help the way I feel. I'm tired of holding back. The man is a piece of shit, common gutter fraudster, and it's time he left. And you are insulting the intelligence of the average American. By all means, do your Doge. By all means, seek out the waste, but you might want to do it. I mean, they're pissing in your face using Musk. Musk is the biggest recipient of taxpayer handouts on the planet. He'd have to arrest himself. He'd have to cut off his own funding. Common sense skeptics got these brilliant with James Mazer, real rocket scientists work for NASA who work for Musk, and they'll say he's a fucking idiot. And they're just wasting all that money. And yet here he is, still front and center. He's got to go sooner rather than later. By all means, keep Trump in for the puppet he is, but you have to clean up your mess. Stop all these retirements or Amit Yaran has cancer. All these people are suddenly getting, they don't have cancer, they're hiding them. I want to see them up on charges. You better start rolling some heads because I just, these people don't understand that Pluto is an Aquarius and nothing short, but the whole truth will do. And Trump this April is looking very, very bad for him astrologically, whether you believe in that stuff. It's all biblical astrology. The heavens, finding baby Jesus. So don't tell me it's not biblical, but it's not looking good for him this April. It's not looking good for a lot of people this April. We'll see what happens. But the energy is very nasty in the coming months. And Trump had better pull his finger out and him and his little. Have you ever noticed that everyone around Trump is a lowlife? I mean, they are literal lowlifes, all of them. And he's given jobs to this just trash. And as someone said, Brendon, if the FBI is running things in the Department of Defense, yes, they are. Okay. Well, who are they going to use? People of integrity? They're going to use all these criminal rats to run things because they're all compromised. They will do anything they're told. They have no scruples. Isn't that logically who you would use? And I thought, well, yeah, you got a point. So what is it really? And the person said, it's actually your ego because you just feel insulted that they're not even trying to convince you. Oh, yeah, you're right. I feel insulted. It's like, what is this trash? So from the point of view of a takeover, I mean, this is how you would do it. But at some stage, you've got to start some arrests. And I mean, what? If they bring up Ted Bundy or Charles Manson, because that's convenient and that works, do we accept it? And Trump is just surrounded by filth. Ari Emanuel, Rahm Emanuel, let me know. Get out there. If you want to help and you don't want to hand out flyers, help me by trying to find anyone, Trump tards included, who are talking about Ari and Rahm Emanuel. You know how much I've talked about. the super agent who links Trump, World Wrestling Federation, Joe Rogan, UFC, and he's Ari Emanuel's agent. Matthew North, remember Matthew North told us about Adam Green's girlfriend's best friend, his best friend with Joe Rogan. And I bet Ari Emanuel, now you understand how Adam Green so easily got into Israel. Matthew North is now dead. Little genius he was at 19. Him and who was that other guy, the Asian guy? Johnny Gatt. They did some great work. And Matthew North is suddenly dead. But they didn't mention that we're all talking with Fred Smith, Skull and Bones' nephew, Joseph Davies. Ryan Dawson knew. Jeremy Rothschild knew. Greg McCarran knew. Ryan Dawson, all of them knew. Sorry, hello? You notice not one of them will breathe a word about it? And they were constantly trying to associate me with the white nationalist movement. Doesn't that tell you something? David Duke, who they work for. Fred Smith was tapped twice. Fred Smith. FedEx, tapped twice, the Secretary of Defense. And then I'm getting contacted by General Milley's JAG, his colonel, who works with him, who is literally Milley's apprentice, who is being tapped for Joint Special Operations Command and ultimately as head of the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. And I've got his fucking sister in my bed. Do you not get it? Do you not get it? He seems like a good guy. How do I know? Because I read all his texts. Because I told a certain person, really think you should put a password on your phone, considering your brother, and you should think about who your brother is and think about before you insult him and call him a coward because they pushed the vaccine. I said, wouldn't it be better to be friends with your brother and pass him all our information? That's where all Mike Gill's information was going. And Mike Gill knew that. Mike Gill knows his name and there's a picture of him. Is Mike Gill mentioned that? No, because he works for the FBI too. He's being handled by the FBI. Everybody's getting handled. You got a profile, you're out there, you are working for them. I just object to the filth and the scum they put in front of us on a daily basis, including Donald Trump. There's no one lower than Donald Trump. I mean, they're just so low. I know everything about Donald Trump, not just documentary. I know people that know him. Look, he's a good actor as president. He's the perfect actor at this time to play the president. People have actually said, Brendon, he's actually a really nice person. A lot of people who know him like him, as long as they don't disagree with him. But he's actually like, he'll say, oh, how are you? What's happening? I heard you've been sick. You're all right. And these people don't necessarily have anything he wants. And they actually said he's actually a pretty warm and nice person. Gives a lot of money away to people. I said, well, good for him. But the point is he's surrounded by all the wrong people. Surrounded. At least they've had the decency to get rid of Jared and Ivanka. Just they've thrown them over to Eastern Bloc Europe to develop some land deals. But, their secret weapon, Sarah Milikowski, I still can't get out of that. Anyway, there's just a 51% happy. That's all I can tell you. The rest 49%, I'm still deeply concerned because economically, Canada's going to lose. I mean, what Canada, you can't do anything. You're handed $100 billion a year from the United States. It's given to you as a gift. They're just going to say, it's fine, go your own way, Canada. Go with the EU. Well, the EU is going to collapse and Canada will collapse and the US will take the West Coast. They'll take Alberta, they'll take Vancouver, they'll take those areas. That'll be that. They'll take Greenland. It's all happening. And Mexico might want to look out and readjust its attitude. And that would help if there would be some reconciliation programs run, because I have to leave here. I can't stay here. The tension here is palpable. It's palpable. And believe me, if they start bypassing Mexico, they may do a free trade zone down to Monterrey and cut off the rest of the country and just let it burn. And then transport via the Gulf of America. That's why they called it a Gulf of America. It'll be like the Straits of Malacca. They will then start developing Venezuela and Colombia. And that's on the cards over the next 5 years. And when that happens, you do not want to be in Mexico. As a white man, white woman, especially with blonde hair, you don't want to be. Because they will eat you, kidnap you, kill you. That's what it's going to be. The tension is already palpable. And I'm not going to run around saying I'm Australian every 5 minutes, not American, because a lot of the agitation is from Europe, who are the people that created the problem in the first place, all these European bankers, the Soroses of the world, who they love. They adore Soros here. Bill Gates, they adore. They lined up for the vaccines, lined up for them. So, that's what you're dealing with in Mexico. And their president is a full-blown George Soros Open Society member who wants to vaccinate everyone. So, she believes in science. I haven't heard anything from Claudia Sheinbaum about, oh, the mass deaths from the vaccine, have we? And I knew her supporters, like organisers in Takitimuka, the local area, and I asked, look, I want to write positively, translate for me articles, do this for me, let's write up. Maybe she learned. She's a smart woman. Maybe she's learning, and maybe she just didn't know. It's possible too. These people live in bubbles. So administrating Mexico City, it's a busy job. They're not watching YouTube videos. And none of them would even talk to me. I mean, they talk to me, but they wouldn't tell me anything because, they're all hardcore commies. They travel to Cuba, meet their Russian GRU handlers, and the King of Spain and the Club of Rome. It's all one and the same. So, here we sit. Jeffrey Sachs, piece of shit, total piece of shit, arrogant, knows nothing. He's a moron. Just makes me laugh. I'm from the area in Arkansas. That's why I asked. Fitzpatrick Informer, he's a piece of shit who badmouthed me. Will not tell you about Joseph Davies and Fred Smith. He's getting paid. He used to post as Binky Clowner on Liberty Forum. He wouldn't touch the white nationalist movement. Now he does because he's making money. He's a piece of shit, absolute piece of shit. And I will remember him. You got to remember, none of these people quote my UN document, and they don't give you the full story. They're just going about Putin because that's what Fred Smith wants. Okay? Fred Smith and Skull and Bones are paying all these people. Like I said, what person in their right mind wouldn't mention that Joseph Davies, who he knew and was talking to, are all Skull and Bones? Fred Smith, tapped twice as Secretary of Defense. Hello? I'm getting private photos of Fred with Joseph's kids. Hello? I got photos of Joseph in bed with his wife and his kids playing, like they're just playing. Hey, Brendon, it's an invite into the family. Now we're probably going to produce Roger Reeves' book into a movie via their Molly Smith, his daughter. That's Joseph's sister, cousin. Via their production company house, they produced La La Land, Sicario 1 and 2, Blade Runner 2049. Okay, these people are self-evident bullshit artists. Alberta oil and gas used to be rolling in cash since Trudeau. It's been a steady decline. Yeah, Alberta will end up in the arms of the US pretty soon. It's already agitating now. So God willing, the Carney, he's a Club of Rome boy, Davos boy, Bilderberg boy, Davos boy, Bank of England boy. I mean, you couldn't get any better. It's fantastic. E. Michael Jones, I don't like him. I think he's a pompous, arrogant piece of shit. However, he does write well, and he's right about what he writes about. But have you noticed him writing about critical infrastructure? I mean, these people are telling you, we're all going to die. These evil Jews are going to kill us all. Oh my God. But they don't talk about, talks about porn. But look, he writes well, just like Michael, Michael Hoffman. But you don't see him talking about other things, do you? Maybe they're scared, who knows? But I find the whole revisionist movement filled with pompous ass bullshit artists who don't talk about the things. Why would you care about me if I called you a pompous ass? Oh, you've hurt my feelings. I won't dare talk about you. I don't give a shit. Look what Mike Gill did to me. But I still mention him and talk about the work that he did. Even if I hate their guts because they're pieces of shit, I still talk about it because it's important information. These people won't mention my name. They won't talk about critical infrastructure. Won't touch it. Does that not tell you something? What did they say? We're just going to create all these groups, all these movements. We'll run them all. That's why they're getting all this money. They get all this attention. They won't mention my name. Look at fucking Peter Thiel's buddy. Peter Thiel, PayPal Mafia. His buddy Charles Johnson. You're a hero of mine. I'm going to come down and visit. Won't mention my damn name. Hello, former Congresswoman Cynthia McKinney. You have a body of work to be proud of. Won't mention my name. Hello. What more do you need to understand? Bergie told them person I trust is Bergie, and he's pothead most of the time, but he's a freaking awesome guy. Apart from, there's things I don't like he's done, but he meant well. He really let the cat out of the bag. He said, Brendon, they're all fake. He said, we've got billions and billions of dollars. Do you think we let anyone get past the finishing post? Because I was going, we can just do this. And he said, Brendon, they spend tens of billions of dollars. So you don't get your message out. He was trying to tell me, dude, just survive, man. Just survive. You've earned the right to survive. Go on vacation. It's all bullshit. I've seen it intimate and up close. Listen to what I'm telling you. Who do I like? Bergie I like, only because he's honest, but he shat me because, you know, he's scared, all right? He's scared for his kids. He's scared. He's the only one I would trust because he would tell me to my face, no, I'm not doing that, or yes, I will do that. If he says yes, he will do it. So I will always love and respect him for that. And he really did important work. And he was scared. He was very nervous about doing it. He had very high security clearances. He comes across as a bit of a vaguey flake, but he had very high security clearances. Yeah, Jesus was absolutely real, dude. Please. What's that one? Why does it just flick up? Why does it flick up like that when I try to go down? What do you, the remilitarization of Europe, would Germany and France be the next? No, they're not going to be leaders. The US will dominate. Understand, what they're doing is just getting them to spend money on weapon systems and high technology. Those weapon systems and that high technology will then be used. They're going to bring back conscription. That is to control the people when the economy collapses. And they do another big reset. Germany and France are totally dependent on US technology. Please understand, as I said, ASML that make the machines for Taiwan Semiconductor, that is all US patent technology from the Department of Energy, DARPA, and one other. All right? Those machines are US machines with some German tech in there from the lenses, from Carl Zeiss lens. Okay? Everything is US, and they've already said we're going to control it with technology. Good or bad, I don't know. So they will develop this, and this is the great danger, as I said, that they continue on with the bullshit, China, AI, China's coming, oh my God. But, you know, everything they have is from you. You keep selling them the chips that enable them to do AI. Oh, show that on Fox News. You know, watch that very good interview, Patrick Bet-David. I mean, I quite like Patrick Bet-David for what he is. He's mainstream, but for what I consider him as good as Fox News, as mainstream as Fox News, but he does some good stuff. And he went after Whitney Webb and just said, come on, no, Whitney, tell us, give us the names. And it took his Jewish sidekick to say to Whitney, what about Rothschild? After she went, oh, the CIA, Rockefeller. And the Jewish guy goes, Rothschild. And she went, oh, yes. Just, oh my God, there's never been a fraud. It's Whitney Webb. Patrick Bet-David, that interview he did with that general who lived in China, that was a really good interview. And he just went into all the stuff that was going on. It was a brilliant interview. I'll find the name and find it. So yeah, Germany, Europe, it's just about controlling their local population. They need the military on the streets. They also need to keep those young males, 17, 18-year-old males, 20-year-old males. They need to keep them busy, disciplined, and in fear. So that's what it's for. Putin is an American asset now. He will be rearmed by the US, and he will be like a dog on a chain, and he will, and China, and that's how you keep control. Putin literally works for US elites now. King of Spain, all those families have power. Spain is a big drug money laundering operations there. They all have their part to play. It's on the Straits of Gibraltar, remember. Very important. The Portuguese, filled with Jews, still run by Jews. Amsterdam, what's the home of ASML? I just told you, it's US patent. Amsterdam, ASML. What else is in the Netherlands and Amsterdam? Don't confuse it with Denmark and the Danes. Amsterdam, the Netherlands, the Dutch. What else is there? Well, that's the old ports of the Portuguese and Spanish slave traders in Amsterdam. Amsterdam is a major drug hub for ecstasy and meth and cocaine. It's a major hub. And ICTS, which is the firm that founded by Israeli Shin Bet in 1982, the firm ICTS that Bolin does extensive work on. Bolin's just the best. Christopher Bolin, because it doesn't just talk about 9/11, it's the whole system of control via high technology and cyber. ICTS does all the airport security for everyone around the world, just like Rad Group and Zohar Zisabel does all the security for all the banks, automatic teller machines, government work encryption all around the world. We used to have the joke about Whitney Webb. Whitney will never say the word Rad Group and Zohar Zisabel. That's why in every email I have, who is Zohar Zisabel? He's dead now with his brother, allegedly. Same with Amit Yoram, allegedly. Amit Yoram, he ran RSA Group, which is the ones that got compromised, and then the drone was caught by Iran. They transferred that drone, that Lockheed technology, to the Iranians and the Russians and the Chinese. Everywhere you go, there's a Jew, a hardcore Zionist Jew, dual national, usually Russian background. So you've got ASML in Amsterdam. You've got the ecstasy trade in Amsterdam, airport securities in Amsterdam, the old slave trade, Portuguese, Spanish Jews have run that place. Do you see all the linkages? Why aren't those machines, which are incredible, using US patents, why are they built in Amsterdam and not the United States? Because you can have all those factories back all you like. You better have those machines being built over there too. So when we see ASML is panicking because Trump has said we want that technology back in the US, that will be a very important point to pick up on. You heard it from here first. Make the connections. Airport security, drug trafficking, Zim shipping, whether it's shipping or planes. It's all the same. Kay Griggs, yes, is still alive. I'd love to meet her before she goes. Love to interview her. She's fantastic. She's a hero of mine. Please reach out to Dr. Deep State, Professor Hamamoto, Days of No. Nah, look, we keep it simple. Mary's talking to interesting people. I'm already bad enough. If it gets into too much occult, I mean, that's my criticism of Bill Cooper. It was a bit too occultish for me. I want to be political, so we stick to political things. I'm not really interested in talking to anyone unless they're out on the street doing political shit. Then I'm interested in talking to them. Like we're talking to Agnes Givney, who's met Trump many times and been on Fox News many times. No, have you watched Crane Return of Cave? Oh yeah, I did. I actually reposted it. I improved the sound and put a lot of images in. It was disgusting, actually. I think considering the gravitas and how important she is, he could have done a better job. But good on him for at least we got an interview. Thank God for that. No, I won't talk to him. I spoke with him about a year ago. They were talking about all getting back together, and I said, "I will have nothing to do with that John Swin piece of shit. He stole 600 pounds. He's a fucking nutcase." And I said, "You need to apologize to me for your actions, the way you kept associating me with Adam Green, the way." And he gave a very belated apology. But Kushel always turns up when we start talking to political people. Mary Silva, he contacted. I said, stay the fuck away from Kushel and the rest of those people. They're pieces of shit and then go fuck themselves. But they can apologize again very publicly. John Swin stole 600 pounds, and every 5 minutes he would say, "Oh, I give up, I'm quitting." I thought his kid had cancer or something. I was concerned for him. And I said to Joseph Davies, Fred Smith's nephew, "What the hell is wrong with John?" I said, "Look, is he all right? Like, has his kid got cancer? Why does he quit every 5 minutes and tell us never to talk to him again? And then when I go, okay, John, whatever. And then when we have a video conference, he complains that we're not talking to him. Is he mentally ill?" But as I said, something must be wrong. Like, ask him, is he okay? I was concerned for his, I know what stress is like. "No, he's fine." And he's fine. He's just a bit of a dick. I said, I don't want to be around that fucking guy. All right. He does not look, these people do nothing. They just sit at home and demand, they find links and they make a little graph and then they demand you be nice to them and send them money. Tell them to get out and hand out flyers like the great Lee. Lee's done amazing work along with Mary in trying to hold down jobs and pay their rents. Fuck these people. You should fuck these people off. They've done nothing in all these years. Look what they did. Took that $4,000 that was meant for me and immediately associate me with the Adam Greens of the world. Did you realize I gave them $4,000? That was my money. And they took that money, went to Washington and did their little thing. I thought we were talking about cyber, but they went after Roger Stone. I never saw that footage. They gave it all to the white nationalist movement, immediately gave the links to them. I never knew about it till like 4 days later when Matthew North emails me, "Brendon, have you seen the video footage of Jeremy and Greg?" I said, "No, I know nothing about it." So imagine, I give them $4,000. You'd think I'd be the first person they contact because I was going to do the editing for their new publicity stunt after the brilliant work they did before. They didn't even contact me. I hear about it 4 days later from the white nationalist movement. On Friday, I say, "You effers," on the video, after all I've done for you, look what you're doing. On the Monday, 2 days later, I finally get a link to the high definition footage. And I said, go fuck yourself. That's what they did. You think that's normal behavior? Fred Smith, Skull and Bones, they run the fucking white nationalist movement. And look who died. Matthew North committed suicide. They killed him, 100%, that kid. Perth is swamped with drugs because the coppers are all fucking dealing it, bro. All right? Troy McCanty. Go and ask all the Jews up in fucking Highgate and all the rest. They're running all the drugs there. All the South African Jews, South African Special Forces and South African intelligence. Ask Bill Bosch, South African intelligence. He was the head of Serco, private security at Acacia Prison. Ask him, why are you bringing in all the drugs with the coppers? SAS, Campbell Barracks, who dares wins. The Special Air Service other motto is do whatever you want, just don't get caught. That's the other motto of the SAS. Deep in bed with them. Look at the guy, the big tall prick that was killing Afghanis. And he was protected by a Rothschild boy, none other than Kerry Stokes, the man who bought the Rothschild Bible 6 months after I get out of jail. And I'm approached by his friends, Minister Joe Francis, who's besties with Jesuit Prime Minister Tony Abbott, and Colonel James McMahon, SAS, to go and hang out with them. And they're all friends with Kerry Stokes. They're all dealing drugs down there. All the South Africans are down there. They're all best friends with Netanyahu, close personal friends in Western Australia. They've totally taken over Western Australia. That's why they rammed me out of that fucking state. The Dutch East India Company, more than ever. Of course. Yeah, how stupid am I? The Dutch East India Company. Oh my God, there it is. That's what I'm working on now. Thank you. Could you imagine how stupid I am? Look, it's all in Amsterdam with the Dutch East India. God, thank you. Perfect. Let me write that down right now. Because this is video 131. Israel, Russia, and China have penetrated NASA, Boeing, Musk, SpaceX, and Trump. And I'm going to go into all that stuff. I actually wrote an article and it disappeared in front of me, but I thought maybe that was God because I'll make it an article of its own and a video. That's the next thing. Thank you, the Dutch East India. I can't believe how did I miss that? Occult and politics are intertwined. Yes, I understand that, Mr. Levi. However, we need it simple, which is graphics design, QR codes at meetings of Republican Party meetings, which Mary does. You don't know what she's achieved, Mary Silva, talking to high-level Republicans. They didn't know. They know now. And she's getting greeted more and more friendly. She goes to the women Republican meetings, unlike Miss Romanello, who went and blamed the Muslim Brotherhood. No, I tell you what, fuck me. Look, it's not her fault. I think she got scared. I think. Julianne Romanello, I was so pissed off. We have two PhDs. I still speak to Paolo in Italy. She's a great lady. Done a lot of work. Her husband was very sick. She didn't even say. May he rest in peace. She's done a lot of work. No, Sylvia. But yeah, it does. I get triggered. Like betrayal, total betrayal. Maybe I should work on that with my astrologer therapist. Yeah, Anna, she's brilliant. She's from Sweden. I would love to get her more business, but then that's harder for me to get an appointment. She is brilliant. She knows everything. And she's an incredible professional astrologer and therapist. And it's been really, really helpful for me. But yeah, I get triggered. Betrayal, I have to work on that because it's just my gut, it's like poison. When you say to someone, okay, here are the rules, you get it? Okay, Brendon, by the way, you're amazing. I'll definitely, and they just go straight out and do it again. And I'm just sitting there, I'm being gaslit. And so you can't work with him. You can't work. He's a good guy, but you can't work. He's too proud. Look, I got no time for anyone clicking links. All right, I'm sorry. I don't mind someone who says, look, Brendon, I can't do it for these reasons. I'm in a wheelchair. I'm elderly. I'm scared for my job. I just don't have your brashness. I don't have your confidence. But I tell you what, I need you to get out there and find out what people are saying. Because I want to be able to show how these big names are just not. Look at David Knight. David Knight will always do something really good, but he'll never talk about Israel, high technology. Find people who are talking about it. They do read their comments, so go and put the comments in. Don't even mention my name. Just say, you're going to talk about Rad Group and Zohar Zissapal and Nitiran. That guy trained at West Point. They're central to 9/11. Modern defense systems, yes, Israel tech, but they will, Tyler Bedford, they will rearm Russia via Israel. That's correct. They need a strong Russia to threaten. Remember, the enemy is Europe, the EU banking cartel. That's the enemy. And they've done deals. I'm not saying it's good. I'm just telling you that the US elites are taking over. And I've said to you over and over, I don't know if that's a good thing or not, if they just keep building AI and automated systems. If they keep doing that. Now, the rhetoric from Rubio and JD Vance, I mean, look, I hated JD Vance. I've softened a bit. Even Pete Hegseth, I just couldn't stand the sight of him, his little red shoes dancing around on Fox News, of all things. However, Hegseth from an advertising marketing campaign is a good thing because he's running around doing PT, he's good looking, he's fit, he's not running shit. But that signal stuff with Tulsi Gabbard, she's a piece of shit. May she be the next to go. I'm telling you now, there's no lying, vacuous piece of young global leader garbage in Tulsi Gabbard. The nerve to put her in there. But as people said, she's so vacuous, Brendon, she'll do exactly what she's told. But that signal messaging thing, it's wrong. They named places, dates, and times. All right, you don't do that. Now, Signal is actually approved on Pentagon laptops. It's actually approved. So you have it on your phone and your laptop like WhatsApp. It is approved for that. The guy that made that is Moxie Marlinspike. That's not his real name. He's a Jewish guy, but a patriot, friend of Mudge, Peter Zaka. He also did the same thing for WhatsApp, but WhatsApp is backdoored. What's the only encrypting app you can have in Iran? WhatsApp. Doesn't that tell you something? Signal is banned in Iran. Signal is the real deal as far as that goes, but you've got to understand it does work. End-to-end encryption does work, but they just screenshot your phone. They have total access to your phone. It's totally backdoor. But you don't talk about that sort of shit. Like you might say, an attack is coming up over the weekend. I'll let you know all about it at a meeting. They have communications, ways to communicate at the Pentagon and defense intelligence agencies that don't involve Signal and their laptops, which of course will all have what? Microsoft on them, and will all have what? You understand the problem here. But it's a clown show, and they need to clean it up. You know, I had a vision, it was a dream, but it was very vivid that Trump was shot, but survives and then retires. JD Vance and Rubio take over, and I'm starting to hope it happens because it's a clown show and they need to clean it out. They've got to start cleaning it out. Then Trump can get his Mar-a-Lago prize and he can make billions out of Tesla when they rescue Tesla, when they re-engage with China. But just get rid of Musk, please. Rahm Emanuel, run him out of the country, back to their natural home, London, and some good English lads can have a word with them over there. Yeah, he did. Yeah, Robert Maxwell. See, this is important info, Tyler Bedford, but geez, it's just so much. We tried to need to simplify all this data. And if I was in a better place, I would like to do more voiceovers and do some more quality videos. I'm just exhausted, dude. That's why I think I like doing these. It's fun. Yeah, the Binational Science Foundation, all that stuff. They know all about it via Mary now. She's briefing high-level Republicans. That's all good. So that's some good news, which keeps me going. You know who killed your cousin? No, I don't. Paul LaRue. Look, the only one I like out of that group, if you're talking about Perth, Western Australia, is Ray Fazio, who refused to deal with them. He knows that they're all a bunch of crooks. I mean, he doesn't work for the police, unlike good old John Kizon and good old King Rat, the bikie, what's his name? Troy McCanty. Look, it's like Jeff Berwick in Acapulco. They're recruiting people there. There's Cuban intelligence involved, Russian intelligence involved, Mexican organized crime, and they are recruiting people down in Acapulco to run drugs in their vaginas and their assholes. Jeff Berwick is a bisexual with a big anus who runs drugs backwards and forwards to Canada. All right? That's why the US has to break up Canada and crush it, stick all the liberal shit for brains, crown corporates over in the French part in the east and just take the West Coast. Simple, has to be done. I said that before the election, before Trump even got in, you must take over Canada. Crown corporate must be completely destroyed, and Australia is next. Yeah, look, there's good people in the SAS, Lewis, Harvey. SAS all over Perth, retired, serving. They like Perth. They come over from all over the country and they retire in Perth because it's nice. There's heaps of retired British intelligence, retired British counterterrorism there. They'll retire there because it's nice. Perth is also one of the #1 spots for protected witnesses. What do you think Giuffre's doing there? That bullshit artist, Virginia Giuffre, she's a piece of shit. Oh, I'm going to die. I've been in a car. There's no bus accident. It's bullshit. She's full of shit. She's got millions. She's broken up with a boyfriend. She's probably on antidepressants and just another piece of shit. I mean, she got paid millions. I don't notice her giving any money for women's shelters and refuges for children. She's just a piece of shit. All the lawyers got all the money. Man, good old Jeffrey Epstein is a saint compared to the hardcore sex rings that beat the shit out of the women, kill the women, rape kids. A lot of focus on Epstein and Prince Andrew. Have you noticed? Prince Andrew's a nobody who did nothing wrong legally. He had sex with a 17-year-old consenting adult. That's what he did. And yet look at the focus Whitney Webb put on that shit when she could have been focusing on Chris Bollin's work. She won't even say Chris Bollin's name. I mean, do I have to explain Whitney Webb to you and James Corbett, who in 2007 in Malaysia with Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, the Islamic hero, bullshit artist, they indict George W. Bush and not Israel. James Corbett won't even say Chris Bollin's name. Whitney Webb won't say Chris Bollin's name. It's not just 9/11. He had the whole conspiracy of the cyber. Can you not work these people out? No, if things are making any difference, not the point. I'm tired and I'm 54 and I have no money and I want to have something to fall back on in my life. And when I tried to make a life, that was removed from me due to the racist fucking Mexicans I met everywhere. I just had enough of them. All phones are tampered with. It's in the hardware, Bill Crane. Okay, it's all in the hardware. And anyone pushing a phone that's been de-Googled is bullshit. All right, it's all, they're all run. All the companies that do that are all NSA. It's all run by private contractors on the NSA. All of them. Just get a normal phone and just use it normally. Just stop worrying about it. But do not get an Apple. Get a Samsung. But I'm just saying, Android. Just get an Android base. Why don't you just get a Google phone? Just go straight to the NSA. Get a Google phone. No, he doesn't want to answer. He doesn't want to stop the war. He wants the war to keep going. As long as they're killing each other, it's perfect. They want to kill off all the Ukrainian males. All the alpha males are dying. The cowards are living. The cowards sitting in the Kyiv nightclubs, the Warsaw nightclubs, the Berlin nightclubs are all going to live. They're all and I admit that I do understand that a lot of them are worried about dying for nothing when the weapons get cut off from them. But the alpha males willing to fight are all being killed off and traumatized, and they're going to dump all the scumbag Chabad Lubavitch Hasidim Jews into Ukraine. That's why they want to get them out of Israel as well. Trump could stop that war in 5 seconds. They're just not giving them the weapons, and you understand they need Russia to keep going. And Zelensky works for the Crown Corporate now, and he's going to be stomped on. So they're just going to let the killing go on. Candace Owens, another piece of shit. Stop being nice about these people. These people are lying to you by omission. She knows exactly who Chris Bollin is. Why isn't Candace Owens having Chris Bollin? Because she's not allowed to. These aren't. They keep marketing themselves as independent journalists. They are clearly not independent journalists. Don't you think they've got all the bases covered? Talk to Bergie. Maybe I've got to talk to him again. Oh, look, we got away from Fox News because, it's not letting us talk. Then they give you 1/3 of the story. Fox News, apart from Carl Cameron in 2001, December, incredible reporting. That was the last time you heard about that. All right. If Fox News is a 1 out of 10, Candace Owens is a 5. It's still not 9 out of 10 like a Boleyn. Let them have on Chris Boleyn. Look at the people they won't talk about. Yeah, good. McCanty is the piece of shit. The piece of shit. I remember who was the guy that started it. He was a Ukrainian background, Croatian background. He's in his 70s now. I knew his nephew. I mean, the old bikies are gone, man. They're all private school kids now with henna tattoos. Harley's optional, beard's optional. These are not. These are not. It's a business, and they all work for the cops. All of them. All of them. I always know the clubs that don't because they're always in jail. Okay, it's the bikies of old. I don't want to romanticize it, but I knew quite a few of them, and they were good people, solid people, family men. They worked 9 to 5, whether they're in mining or tradesmen. They got up to mischief. Of course, they were getting up to mischief. Obviously, there were some assholes too. But you weren't allowed to beat the shit and break your wife's bones without paying a price. Nowadays, they're just a joke. It's just another business operation for the Masonic Lodge. There's no surprise that you realize McCanty's a Jewish family, Italian Jews, importing shoes from China. They're importing drugs with the coppers. They live right in the heart of the Jewish community in Perth. Yeah, because Berwick got scared because of my exposing of him. That's why. Yeah, I know. Textbooks of Maxwell. Thank you, Arsenal. Oppos are good. I don't know. It's all Chinese. I wouldn't go near them with a barge pole. Just get a Google. Get a good old-fashioned NSA phone. An exponential boost. Yeah, prostitutes. I had Bannon did a documentary with Epstein. Yeah, well, Bannon's Office of Naval Intelligence. That's no surprise. I mean, Bannon was one of the original producers for Seinfeld, for crying out loud. Bannon's all Office of Naval Intelligence. Him, Matt Gaetz. What's his name? Who's the other guy? I've forgotten his name. They all hate. They hate Epstein. There's way more to Epstein. Way more to Epstein. Yeah, London Club Brit, then went Catholic. Yeah. Well, it's like good old Milo Yiannopoulos when he's on Tim Pool saying you need to go back with the Vatican, with the Pope and the Crown. Like that went nowhere. Did you see where I extracted all that? You never saw anyone else repeat that. Doesn't that tell you what Milo Yiannopoulos and Roger Stone and all the gang, all in with the Bronfmans, with Ari Emanuel? That is the link. Ari Emanuel, Rahm Emanuel, Bronfmans, Alex Jones, Joe Rogan, Donald Trump, the whole stinking lot of them. What's that about Candace? Candace is literally was some, yeah, you need a permit. Yeah, I know. I'd love to. Just, we were going to get Jews, Muslims, and Christians together and just retire, commies for that matter too, just good-hearted, sincere people and just, yeah, form a community, but just never seemed to happen. Might be news anchor in Germany part-time, maybe. Yeah, Zelensky is owned by the Crown, obviously now. That's pretty obvious. The cheaters infiltrated the lodge. I don't know about that. Mel Gibson's dad, Hunter. I know Hunter Gibson. Wow, he used to be on Alex Jones. He's a full-blown Nazi, literally a full-blown Nazi. He has pictures of Hitler on the wall. Oh yeah, God, he used to just go off. Bannon comes out with gems at times. Yeah, look, Bannon's an old drunk. He's on Adderall a lot. I don't believe he's completely compromised. Look, he's playing the game at that level. But considering the levels he's at, some of the interviews he's done are brilliant for an hour where he's just laid the whole thing out with millions of views. So Bannon's up there. If Chris Bollin is a 9 out of 10, Bannon is a 6.8. My father experienced this back in the 70s. He was an F-86 pilot who was not a yes man. They put him on tons of meds and ended up 100% disabled. Yeah, look, that's what happens. They have a whole system of control. But I do believe there is a new breed coming through, and we'll see. Yeah, me too. Believe me, I'm worried about this automation and AI killing bots. The rhetoric from Vance and Rubio has been good. They're saying this is very dangerous. We need to have I've forgotten the words. We need to have public involvement and discourse on this big issue. Well, that's great. We'll better get it happening. Wexner is more important than Epstein, Mega Group. Yep, well, they're all in there. Wexner, the whole lot of them. I mean, the point is you need to know who Rad Group is, because by knowing Rad Group, you know who runs every American bank and World Bank, who runs all the automatic teller machines, who runs all the VoIP encryption for government, who runs all the telecommunications. But you've never heard of Zohar Zizapal, his brother Yehud Zizapal, and Rad Group. They both died about a year ago, recently. A lot of them died. Kissinger died, Rothschild died, allegedly. The Rad Group brothers died. Amit Yaron apparently died of cancer. I don't believe a word of it. But see, you've got to understand the critical infrastructure. This is part of the control mechanism. That's why BB's still there. They're doing deals because he's so deeply ingrained within the infrastructure. It's bad. It's worse than you know. I keep saying that. It's bad. Look, the royalists hate the Jews. The Jews hate the royals. But they're all just elitist scum that want to kill us all anyway. That's the point. They all hate each other. Just pieces of shit. What news channel? I don't know, dude. I watch photography channels, tech channels. I don't know. I'm rewatching all the Bolin stuff. I'm going to break down some of his 4-hour long videos and chapterize them and put in some footage. Shows the former chairman Turning Point UK and the former CEO of Perma. He's married to Candace Owen since 2019. Yeah. We need to go into Candace and the rest of them. Look, they're doing limited hangouts, controlled releases. Look, I just see them as the enemy. They're the enemy, all right? It's up to you. I want to execute them all, literally, and I would do it. I would publicly shoot them all, execution style, after a trial. It's execution time, because otherwise these people will just keep doing it. I'm talking lawful execution, including Alex Jones, all of them. We don't execute the left because they're all completely insane anyway. and they just go into mental institutions. We'll set up mental institutions on the east coast of Canada, and they can all go up there, somewhere where it's cold and nobody wants to be. But you need to understand that, you know, listen, COVID should have changed everything for you. After COVID, I changed completely. That was it, right? It's war. It's to the death now. It's to the death now. And strangely, all they're doing is selling coffee mugs and T-shirts and giving you very limited hangouts. Does that not tell you about them? You keep telling me your kids are dead. You don't want your kids. Well, you might want to get more serious. I'm not telling you to go out and commit acts of violence. What I am telling you to do is support Mary Silva and start doing the political work of infiltrating all the forget about the left. Go to where the Republicans are. Go, if you're in America, no matter where you go, go to pro-Palestinian groups. All right, start infiltrating, giving them information. Take a hidden camera, take a recording device. Start naming the people. Oh, who are you? How are you going? Oh, your name's Jacob Applebaum and you're running pro-Palestinian. Oh, okay, Friends of Palestine. Okay, Jacob, get a photo of them. Hey, what do you think of this stuff? And Israel and, you know, blah, 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 blah. Whoop, cut off, get his photo. Let's have a recording of them. We want to identify them all. Start penetrating. Learn from Jewish power. That's how they took over. They penetrated. Be friends with these people. Get them on record. Be like, you know, what's his face? Oh, see, my memory's terrible. You know who I'm talking about. The guy that with all the hidden camera stuff. Can't even remember their names. Yeah, Tyler Bedford, email me all the information. This is how you can help me. You do the research. I don't have time or the energy. I'm tired. I'm stressed. I got a lot of things on my mind, like where I'm going to live for the next 20 years. Send me that stuff via my email, please. Yes, the court Jews of Europe are now the nobility of Europe. Look at someone like a Gerhard Schroeder and his friends. He's a lower down. They're all in suits. There's no kippahs. That's who they are. Kiwi bikies, mongrel mob, and the other did. No, they never got into WA. They all got blown up. The rebels work for the cops heavily, but they get a bit cheeky sometimes. I don't know about now. I think a lot of their coppers that were working with them got fired. And I think they're on the shit list now with the new coppers that have come in. Council on Foreign Relations host group. Yeah, well, look, it's okay to go to the CFR once or twice. It's whether you're still involved with them and doing it over and over again. That's the point. So look, James O'Keefe, yeah. Well, yes, US citizens need to push back by entering into politics like Mary Silva has. She could do with some money. She spent like 15 grand of her own money. She never got a cent. Never got a cent. Project Veritas, yeah. Yes, you need to become spies and infiltrate. That's correct. I don't care about Le Penerists. They all work for that. Look, they all work. It's all a big corral. They stick Le Pen, the enemy of the establishment. They're all the damn same. Then you come in, give your names, give them money. They find, they identify everyone, and then suddenly they're banned. Oh no, I've been banned. You got to get this. This scam's been going on forever. So this means they're good at doing Masonic suit ritual. Yeah, something like that. Who's doing Kissinger's job now? I don't know. Look it up, Prince Leo. That's your job. Send me the info. Look it all up. Like, what do you think? Alex Jones does any research? It just all gets handed to him. Nick Griffin, sincere. Nick Griffin was originally sincere, but now, you know, look, they got money. They all want money. Wrong side of 50, no money. So now he knuckles down. Oh, yeah, Stephen, you actually learn it. They got no money. It's like Cynthia McKinney, as someone said. She's the wrong side of 60, Brendon. She hasn't got any money. That's why she's hanging out with CIA boy Robert David Steele. Mongrel mob are back in Perth. You can't be serious. They must be working for the cops. The pen was the one trousers lift chi ritual, yeah. Yeah, I was in jail with the rock machine. All those guys you saw in the paper, the guy that pushed the guy out the window. Brett Recker, you know, the guy looked scary as hell, absolute pussy dickhead. Tim was a old hitman, old school criminal, good guy. I liked him. Just don't piss him off. He was about 5'8", big pot belly, walked around like ET. You would not want to get on the wrong side of that guy. But no muscles, no steroids. And this guy's gone, oh, the boys have taken my Harley. He's on the phone. And his missus has rang him up. Brett Recker and said he's the hitman for the rock machine. And they said, they've taken my Harley. Should I ring the police? Does that make me a dog? And Tim goes, yes, Brett, that makes you a dog. He walks up. This is the new class of bikies. Call on the police to report their motorcycles stolen. Brett, what's his name? Brett Recker, whatever it was. It's just a joke. All right. They started teaming up with the Lebs and Benny Hinn, the guy that shot one of the rebels. I said, you guys are going to get screwed over. If you start recruiting native Australians, missing it with the Lebs and Islam, you're just going to be destroyed. And they were destroyed. Totally destroyed. I like Benny. He beat the shit out of all the people, the 5 guys that got me. A bunch of them cornered them and got every last one of them. I don't talk to the magical unicorn. I had enough of his shit. He kept, oh, what about this? What about that? And I was like, dude, the guy can't be used, and you've never once given any money to Mary or congratulate us on doing Mary stuff. I think he was British intelligence, but he pissed me off. But he gave me 20 grand. But yeah, he ended up taking me to the wet deck. And it was very strange. Very strange. He just bitched. He got so much wrong though. It's all over. This is going to happen. I said, dude, it's not going to happen. He may know a lot about investing drug money in Dubai, but little else. But he did help me a lot. And for that, if he ever needed my help, I would help him as long as it was legal, even though I think he's being a bit of a piece of shit. But without him, I would have been shafted. And that's the kind of guy I am. I can dislike you, but if you've helped me out, I'm very loyal to people. And I just found that he would never say, oh, I saw Mary's work. This is fantastic. Never. But he'd say, who's the dickhead comedian who's on his farm just giving you a talk like this, raking in hundreds of fucking thousands of dollars a year? It's like, dude, why do you never talk about Mary or never give any assistance? I just have had enough of you. And he believes the earth is flat. So I just, you know what, dude? I don't want to be around you anymore. Brett Recker, yeah. You saw that guy? Man, you'd freak out. Let me get a picture of him. It's worth getting a picture of him up. The biggest puss. He was crying like a baby and cutting his wrist because his girlfriend left him. He was in the special handling unit. Brett Recker. He's dead now. He committed suicide in jail. Oh, they've got a rock machine documentary. Where is he? Is that him? He looks old and fat there. Trying to find the no, can't find him. Is that his name? Brett Recker? I'll give you an example of the pussies they recruit. Too much steroids, too much meth. Still dangerous though, because they get methed up and coked up before they actually touch anyone. And then someone shoots them back and they all cry like fucking. But these aren't the old bikies, man. These are not the old bikies. These are, most of them are cops, FBI, Australian Federal Police, ex-military working for the cops. Here he is. You file. If you saw this guy, you would say, wow, man, that's scary. That's just one scary looking dude. That's him there. Committed suicide in jail. He cried because his girlfriend left him. And sorry, no respect. Beat up fucking people. He's small there. And 1%. Yeah, he was a dog to the cops. That's why he was booted from the rock machine. He was a literal dog for the cops. Now imagine, ladies and gentlemen, imagine someone turning to a real old crim, an old school crim. Tim, we're all in the special unit. And, Benny Hinn's hard as nails. Is it Benny Hinn? Not Benny Hinn. Ben, he had a twin brother. The guy that shot the other ones. Can't remember. That guy, I mean, he's tall, he's pretty hard, but he doesn't look vicious, but you would not want to F with him. He took over from shit for brains here, but as Tim said, so the rock machine decided to take his Harley. His girlfriend talks to his girlfriend who tells him, oh, the boys come and took your Harley because I believe you're a dog. And he goes, well, I'm going to report it to the police. And he turns to Tim, who's walking past the phone. Oh, Tim, if I call the cops to report the boys stealing my Harley, does that make me a dog? Jim said, yes, Brett, that makes you a dog. He turned around, he come and told us in the cells. He said, you're not going to believe what that guy just told me. Is he fucking serious? That's this fucking clown right here. He committed suicide because I don't want to speak ill of the dead. I'm sure he had a hard childhood or something, or whatever his excuse was to be a tossbag. He was a skinny runt. He took a lot of steroids and decided to cover himself with tattoos. Now he's a hard man who worked for, he's a cop, he's an informant. Probably because his girlfriend left him and cut his wrist. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't mean to be mean. I mean, I like to work in mental health and drug and alcohol rehab, and after experiencing jail for 3 years, but I know people, hard people, you would not fuck with, and they don't. These are not steroid freaks. They're not hard. They may not even look particularly hard, but you just would not want to mess with. And then you've got the show ponies that are running around with their tats, and the moment they get shot in the head, they're all crying like babies. All right? I've got no respect. These are not the old school bikies at all. They don't exist anymore. They're running businesses, and these are not people raised in Catholic orphanages who've been through war and traumatized. These are spoiled little brats now, millennials. I'm sorry. And all of them work for the police. Ultimately, they work for the cops. The cops will recruit them, and they'll say, we recruit the cops. The cops say, we're recruiting you. Most of their leadership since time immemorial, either the leaders form a truce with the local cops, like Whitey Bulger did. He wasn't exactly an informant, but he formed a truce with the cops. They either form a truce, and the cops say, well, okay, we get rid of the scum. We'll use you to get rid of the scum, and we'll turn a blind eye to coke and ecstasy, but no, they say no meth, but they deal meth. Whatever, they do deals, business deals, and the cops then have a hand into the underworld. And that's what it's going to be. All these show ponies with their gold chains running around like a McCandy, they've been working for the cops for years, since forever. All right, when the cops decide to shatter you into a million pieces, they shatter you into a million pieces, and you go to jail for a very long time. Look at the Lebs. They got the Lebs. They got I've forgotten his name. It was Ibi. I think Ibi escaped jail. I warned him. I said, if you try to bring in Islam, recruit Native Australians, politicize it, they will destroy you. Getting Native Australians off drugs and alcohol. I said, no. They want them on drugs and alcohol, so they can sign all the mining deals. I said, they'll destroy you. No. Well, they will destroy it. And once the ASIO come onto you with the Australian Federal Police and others, you're finished, all right? Yeah, and if you get too smart, then they send in, Commando Regiment SAS guys, and they'll deal with you and they'll kill you. Like, who killed, what's his name, the rebel sniper rifle? Do you seriously think that was just some bikie? They brought in a military and killed him. So if you want to get involved with organized crime, you will eventually work for the police either way. You're much better off just keeping quiet and doing whatever quiet deals you do behind the scenes. And a lot of people do that. But if you start show ponying around and hanging around with these people, you'll either work from or you'll be sacrificed. I knew coppers well. I worked in there. The coppers deal the drugs. Go and watch Training Day with Denzel Washington, Ethan Hawke, or good old the big one with Scorsese and Leonardo DiCaprio and Jack Nicholson, The Departed. That's how it works. Well, these big names with their gold chains, they work for the feds. All of them work for the cops. All right. End of story. And if you survive as a small group, you've got to keep very quiet and just stay out of their way. Anyway, I don't keep up with this a lot. Look, I'm not just someone bored sending links around, writing an article. I have genuine worries about where I'm going to live, what I'm going to do. So if you know anyone from Poland, Ukraine, I don't care about danger. I couldn't give a shit. For me, I just want to get amongst it and get out there. And I'm not waiting around 8 months for an interview. I need to think about where I'm going to go next. Look, I have considered going back to Australia, but not to make peace. I'll go there to make war, and talk's cheap, but I forged my reputation in that jail. Casuarina. That was my reputation. I didn't back down to that fucking Mike, what's his name? Wallace. Didn't back down to Wallace. The Finks didn't back down to go fuck himself. Tell him to go fuck himself. Never back down for a fucking second. Broke my fucking arm. They come in, we'll give you a minimum or work camp, whatever you want. I just laughed at them and said, you broke my arm on 9/11. It's too perfect. Laughed my ass off. All right. So, I mean, do you think the average person doesn't blab everything and make a statement and blab on whoever? And, I'm telling you now, man, the hardest people you're ever going to find, they're not the like Tim. If you saw Tim, he's covered in tats, but if you just saw him, he'd be just like some Aka guy walking around with a pot belly. You'd never think twice. God help you if you piss him off. He will just get a firearm and come and shoot you in the head. And there are people around like that. But I'm comfortable around those people because if you're polite and respectful, they're perfectly fine people. You know, there was Ben, who was very smart. He's hard guy on the rock machine. A lot of the others, man, it was pathetic. It's pathetic to watch. You know, have the Muslims, Ibi, look at Ibi and all that. I like Ibi in the game, but look, they didn't help Ali Amun, poor Ali Amun. They left him to rot. That guy was 16 years in, totally set up by the cops, totally set up by his wife, who's best friends with the police. They were close family friends, and they locked him. They attacked him with a hammer. They stabbed him with a knife. Then they said, "Oh, he came and he stabbed us with a hammer and tried to kill us." It was total bullshit. Came out in the trial, all their DNAs over everything, and they rigged the jury and locked him up for 16 years. Took everything. His new wife. He lost his business. He lost access to his 7 kids. All gone. Some piece of shit Croatian woman that became a Muslim, and he left her and went with someone else because she's a nutcase. And she got back at him, and that was, he ended up shooting up the Canberra airport. Look him up, Ali Amoun, Amoun. What did the Lebanese community do? Nothing. Too busy dealing drugs for Hezbollah with the Australian federal police. Have they sent me $1 million? Have they helped me? I've had individual Muslims help me. They won't come near me because they're all dealing drugs with each other. The Jews, Israel. As a Jew said to me, Brendon, you want to see a Jew and an Arab make peace? Put a kilo of cocaine between them, watch them do a deal. Hezbollah, Hamas, they're all doing drugs. They're all dealing drugs. It's all in the weapons trade. They are all run. The Islamic terror networks don't exist. They are pure Likud, pure BB, pure Israel-run operations. They run all the white nationalist movement. They run Le Pen. They run them all. They say we must control every aspect of life, including political life. So we will build up, and they say, damn the Jews, curse the Jews, whoa, everyone goes, oh, yes, and they sign up and they sign. Nick Griffin's probably one of the very few that was sincere. And then he refused to take the money, he refused to take the bait. So out came Julian Assange with WikiLeaks, and out came the mailing list for the British Nationalist Party. And then up pops Stephen Yaxley Lennon, who's a drug dealer for the British police, who also ran the Muslim grooming drug dealing networks. They're all run by the same people, the Jewish border deputies. Run them all. That's how they know everything that's going on. So they were running and feeding the drugs into these Pakistani Muslim grooming networks, who were grooming the young ladies with drugs, raping them. Although some were willing participants, and then they come down off the drugs and now they've been raped. Okay. And of course, Tommy Robinson, who's a drug trafficker like an Andrew Tate, probably from the same area, he's laundering his drug money through his fingernail salon, classic tanning fingernail salon or tattoo salon, cash businesses to launder their money. And he's the hero who comes out and exposes it all. And you all know by now, I presume, that Stephen Yaxley Lennon, Tommy Robinson, is just a coke-addicted prostitute using piece of shit, and the white nationalist movement won't have anything to do with him. But he keeps getting pushed by who? You have a look. What's the name of that fucking clown? I can't remember his name. Anyway, you're a fool to get involved in organised crime. Go and do your own thing on the side with your own people, unless you're working at the top. If you're not a South African NGO or South African Special Forces, SAS, working with the coppers, you're going to get done over you'll be like a sacrificial lamb whenever they need to do a bust. They fired a lot of WA coppers, but they had to bring back like coppers in their 50s and 60s. And, it was really, they fired hundreds of them over a few years. But the rot starts at the top. What do you do with Carlo Callahan, whose own son is a meth dealer and a meth cook, who set himself on fire, for Christ's sake? He did 2 years in jail after he goes back in the second time for beating up his girlfriend while on parole and stabbing her with a pair of scissors off his head. And I think he did 6 months. Well, it's too hard to hold him in the special handling unit, the SPU, the special prisoner unit, where, prison guards and high-profile people go. Get out of jail free. It was completely in front of everyone. Prison officers at Casuarina. I mean, it's all in my UN document. They're all hugging Troy McCanty, my brother, and he was the head of the Veterans Motorcycle Gang. And the Minister, Joe Francis, who's in charge, rings me for 32 minutes, shame wasn't 33, on October the 14th, 2014, calls me and says, I'm more scared of my own prison officers than I am of the bikies after I stop their drugs getting into jail. That's a quote. I'm more scared of my own prison officers. And he's hanging with SAS Colonel James McMahon, who's there to protect him. They're actually good people. They were trying to stamp out corruption. They put cameras in the special units in Hakea to stop the prison officers beating up the prisoners. And they started to make it more accountable. I actually quite liked them. They were definitely working on anti-corruption. And they're hanging with Tony Abbott's their best buddy, Peter Schack. I was in jail with Peter Schack. He's a Liberal Party stalwart, right? He was the antithesis to Bob Hawke. Bob Hawke hates Peter Schack. Schack's like a power broker in the Liberal Party. He was in jail for fraud. It was a family dispute. He came off second base. And I was invited out with those people. Tony Abbott, man. Josh Frydenberg, Peter Dutton are his besties. So, with all this in mind, it's corrupt as fuck. But it's all coming out of Campbell Barracks. And it's, well, it's improved, Brendon. Well, it's improved. You got to understand, Likud is deep in Western Australia. That South African spy network sitting right there in Perth, Western Australia. I'm giving you gold. This is gold. You don't understand Perth. Perth, Western Australia is the most isolated capital city in the world. It's the richest in the world, and you know nothing about it. It is an absolute owned and run Zionist Jewish power operation there. Right in there. They dump all sorts of people down there to hide them out. Like, who was that? Thatcher. Thatcher got rid of him because he was a pedophile. He was causing embarrassment. And he is the one that put, Bond Tower, remember Alan Bond? And they had the big tower, the RNI tower with the pyramid on the top. I knew the security guard from there. They used to go up there and cook steaks at night and hang out up there and then clean it all up and go back downstairs. And he said, yeah, that pedophile used to start there with Alan Bond. Remember Bond? You remember Abe Saffron, the old Jewish mafia don, Israeli intel? And who's he with? Kerry Packer. Kerry Packer. James Packer, best friends with who? Benjamin Netanyahu, Crown Casino, drug money laundering. You can see this network. It's all in my UN document. Read it. That's enough. This is long. It's been fun. The veterans have been booted out of Gilween. Yeah, I saw one of them. I was with some of the Greek mafia when I got out of jail. And I saw one of them. Every time I walked around, there was a veterans motorcycle gang, and I was going, my brother, my brother. I was down at, the kebab place, Zivakis, Peters by the Sea at Scarborough. He pulled up near us. I was with the Greek mafia in his Mercedes. And I walked up to him and said, my brother, my brother. It's the last time I saw any of them again after that one. So you can guess who's in there. Probably, I don't know for sure, SAS, Campbell Commando Regiment out of Sydney, guys probably in there, veterans. But you can understand, you remember the big tall guy that was in the paper for killing Afghanis, civilians, and Kerry Stokes was a big, huge thing in the Australian press. So they took him to court, and that those are the guys that are getting made men. Remember the kill team? It was a documentary about Americans running around killing civilians and throwing an AK down and saying, oh, he had an AK-47, and they were doing it so they could be made men. Jeez, talk about scum. And then that guy dobbed them all in, and that poor bastard ended up in jail as well. It's very sad, but whistleblowers never seem to fend well, but they're all made men. Now, what did Kay Griggs say? All the Marine Corps dealing all the drugs, the assassins for the mob coming out of New York, New Jersey mob, Russian Israeli mafia, Donald Trump's casinos on the Atlantic coast. And then Colonel Griggs and his friends, they did Woodstock, and they were bringing all the drugs in for Woodstock. They're all doing getting their big semi and heavy haulage because they're running all the drugs up and down in the trucks. And then they're going on about Mexico. What about America? The big dogs are all there in the US in suits. They're on Wall Street and they're in suits for crying out. It's disgusting. Does not anyone remember this? If this was 2005, you'd never get away with this shit. Never. The internet would be just laughing at anyone pushing, oh, we're going after those Mexican cartels. What do you mean, Scott Bessent? Scott Bessent, the Treasury Department, George Soros fund manager, you've been living off the liquid drug money for freaking 40 years. Do you understand that they are pissing in your face? That's enough. I'm sick of talking about it. It's depressing. Oh, Club Deros. I can tell you all about the Club Deros. No, they're all Jews, dude. They've all got Star of Davids under their arms, under here. They're all run by Orthodox Jews out of Melbourne and Russian Israeli mafia. They're decent because they're quiet. There's not that many of them. They blew off Shabria's head with that SKK. I remember it well. They're based in Kalgoorlie and down to Albany. The Bairstows were involved. These are all Catholic Israelites. I didn't mind Bairstow. I mean, he was all right. We did some work with him down there in Esperance. His sister had died then. He was pretty upset. Darrow's pretty hard, very quiet, because there's not that many in that club, but they are heavily connected with the Jews out of Melbourne. I knew someone who knew them well, and he was German descent, and he went to Melbourne with them as a prospect. And they're sitting in this mansion in Melbourne, and in walks these Orthodox Jew Queen's Counsel lawyers, QCs, like top lawyers, all Orthodox Jews. And he said, fuck that. He said, no, finished. So that's the club there, I swear. But yeah, you wouldn't want to F them, but they're very quiet, very business-like, based up around Kalgoorlie. All the gold, diamonds, highly connected, big-time connections, but very quiet, because that's how Jews operate. They let some dumb goy put gold chains on and prance around with his tattoos. These guys are much more quiet, but they mean business. That was when the old SKS assault rifles were all around town. The Chinese dumped heaps of them. People were picking them up in Queensland for $2,000 with 1,000 rounds. Half of them are rusty. They're buried all over Australia. A lot of guys, military guys, have got them. They will be taking them out. I don't believe they will, because if they did, they would have taken them out during COVID, but they didn't. It's all talk. It's all talk. The military should be the ones protecting us, but they didn't. So I don't know. A lot of the old guys, Kerry Clark, Tex Glover, guys out of Vietnam, they're all too old now. They're in their 70s, all these guys. Solid people, you know, they're all gone. They're all in nursing homes. The old Gen Xers have got arthritis. They're too old now. They got the millennials in now, you know, and everyone wants to run a business and be a millionaire and be someone. And, you know, with their henna tattoos and their beards are optional and their Harleys are optional. I don't know, dude. I you know, I don't want to romanticize the olden days. In the olden days, but I guess it was more, everyone knew who everyone was. There was at least honor amongst thieves. And, you know, I don't know. It's just been corporatized, and it's just like McDonald's. Everything's slick now. Everything's fake. Everything's inorganic, and that includes organized crime. You know, it's like you almost long for the old days of the old Italian Sicilian mafia. You know, just you know, everyone knew who everyone was. You didn't shoot someone in front of their kid. I mean, there were rules, sort of thing. And we live in an age of, I don't know, boundary. I don't know. I don't want to romanticize it, but you know, I'm 54 now. I was born in 1970. And I mean, you know, the coffin shooters were doing their big runs, you know, with teddy bears and raising money for kids. Everybody knew they were dealing drugs, but it was all very civilized, put it that way. It was all very civilized. I don't know what it is now. Everything seems more violent. I think the meth hit Perth, crystal meth hit Perth around 1998, 99. And I could see the changes. More king hits, more sneaking up on people, bashing them, more people, you know, just less honor amongst thieves. And that's why they feed crystal meth to the troops, because it makes people feel invincible and powerful. And they're throwing people out windows without concern for what might happen. You know, I wouldn't set foot in a pub or nightclub these days. Anyway, I've not set foot in a pub since I've been in Mexico. I won't get anywhere near them. But you know, you fuck around in Mexico, you'll find out. You'll find out, and you know, they'll just walk in and blow 10 people's heads off with AK-47s like they did in Querétaro, where I was. Just walked into the pub. This was Jalisco New Generation, and they were trying to move into Querétaro, which is all the old drug dealers, retired military, and they would have been military hitmen. They just walked in and they just walked out and drove off, and that was the end of it. Never hear another word about it. And also Querétaro is where a lot of the expats and factories are, and fabrication, and that was it. Tequiscopan, where I was, people were getting killed all the time, all done very quietly. But it's all oligarchy. Everyone knows everyone. That's why they're just so fucking racist, because, you know, you can come as a tourist, but they don't want you staying there. And that's the racism I didn't know about. till I got there, and they're very proud of it. And I had a few interactions with the police, which they're actually quite good. The cops, I quite liked them. I was laughing with them. But the guy pulls the knife. I was trapped in my room because when they slammed the door, it broke the lock off. I couldn't get the door open, so I had to send the footage of them coming at me with his knife. I mean, I was laughing at the time, you fat fuck. But I knew this day was coming. That's why I left so easily. I just had enough of the racism there. And they'll come up to you and go, "Where are you from? Where are you from?" If they speak English. And so I'm from Australia. And they go, "Oh, okay. Not American." I go, "No, yeah, too many Americans are coming in, this and that." I said, "Really?" So the people, I mean, they say, how many millions of Mexicans are in America? I don't get it. So you want it all one way. You want all the cash this way, but not that way. And Mexico is going to pay a very high price because of data analytics. They don't understand data analytics, and they're all on their iPhones, on their American iPhones, on American Facebook, telling everyone how much they hate Americans. It's like, do you even get the slightest idea of what's going to happen? I tried to tell them. Whatever, I just want to get out of here. So please look into Poland. I'm very interested in, and then I can pop into Ukraine, maybe do some journalistic work. They could knock me off. They're very interested. I don't care about dying. I just care about fucking my enemies. So if you know anyone, please let me know. All right, you have a great day. I better end this now. There might have been meth before, but that's when it hit. I was in a big nightclub there that was built with the secret rooms where he used to rape the women. I can't remember what it was called. I can't remember any of the names. No, fuck Mexico. I want to get out of Mexico. Definitely Poland or Ukraine. So if you know anyone, I'll suss them out and talk to them and fly over as soon as I can. All right, everyone. It's been a bit of fun. We'll talk later.